stuff.
Welcome back to the Angry Man podcast with Jason and Greg. We got a special guest in the building, Manager Marty. What's going on with you, bro?
Oh man, I'm doing wonderful, man. I appreciate you guys having me on the platform. So salute to you, Greg. Salute to you, Jason. I appreciate it, guys. Looking forward to it, man.
Same here,
Appreciate you, my
man.
man.
Same here. I remember the first time I got exposure to you. I think it might have been Mr. Pragmatic because he follows both of the channels. Actually, I'm pretty sure it's Mr. Pragmatic.
Yeah.
He said, "Yeah, man, you guys just did this title, man. It's very similar to what Marty did. You should go check him out." And that's when I went to go check out your content, saw what your video, and then I responded up under one of the videos saying, you know, we did a similar topic, but I felt like you went into it a little bit more in depth. And it was good, man. We've been following you and your movement ever since.
Appreciate it, man. And of course, as you know, there is no secret. I'm a subscriber to you guys' channel as well, and you guys do an amazing job. I think the last video I saw from you all, man, I was so happy because you guys did an amazing job. How you broke down the origins of the Terence Crawford versus Errol Spence negotiations and how it led up to where we are today. And I think it was like a half an hour video. And oh man, it was amazing. I was man, salute to y'all. I'm so proud of you guys, man.
No, I appreciate that, man. Really appreciate that. And yeah, I mean, that video now is up to 50,000 views, guys. So it's doing this thing.
Yes, sir.
Yep. So let's dive into it. You know, Marty, we got an array of different topics that we usually will cover. And then, of course, when it's Jason and I, we'll cover those topics. But of course, we're going to throw it to you as well to get your thoughts on what's currently going on in the world of boxing. So, Jay, what do we have up first, man? I know we have a list of things that we wanted to talk about.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you want to get out the way, we can talk about the fight last night.
Yeah, so I'm gonna let you two talk about the fight last night. Unfortunately, I didn't get the opportunity to see it because I was out celebrating Valentine's Day with my wife, since I won't be able to do it this week. So I didn't get the opportunity to see the fight. But Jay, what were your thoughts on the fight?
Yeah, well, there's a couple of fights that I particularly watched. It was the Mario Barrios fight versus Santiago. Yep. And remember last year when Santiago fought AB, I felt he actually probably beat AB or had a draw with AB. You know, because AB doing what AB does. He don't throw his hands. But Mario Barrios came in and looked like the bigger man. He imposed his will on Santiago and broke him down and got him up out of there, I think, around like 8 or 9. So in that fight, Mario Barrios, he looked decent. You're not bad for coming back off of a loss to Thurman. And then Ray Vargas and Oshaki Foster, that fight wasn't even close to me. Not even close. Foster, he dominated the dude. He was a smaller guy, but he looked like the bigger guy the way he made that fight happen. You know, I had him winning like 10-2 or 9-3 at the very least. And the announcer was just like, "Oh man, we don't know." I'm like, rounds weren't close. He dictated the pace. He controlled the fight. He had clear. He landed clear shots and everything. So, but yeah, I mean, those two fights were very good to see how the 147-pound is going to go from here on out in 130 with Ray Vargas and Foster. Although Vargas was moving up from 126. You got to check the fights out, Marty?
I got to check out the Foster and Vargas fight, and then I started dozing off a little bit.
Yeah, it was late.
It was pretty late, man, in the Barrios fight. But, yeah, I was dozing on and off, but I did see a little bit of the ending, which was the stoppage. And, you know, starting with that Foster and Vargas fight, man, you know, Foster, he did a wonderful job. It was a clinical masterpiece. A boxing clinical masterpiece, and he stuck to the game plan throughout the whole duration of the fight. And you know what? Both of the guys, you know, give credit to Vargas. Both of those guys were in tip-top shape. You know, that was a 12-round fight. That wasn't a 10-rounder. That was a 12-round, you know, competitive fight. And for what it was worth, and then Foster. And one of the things I don't know too much about Foster, but one of the things I loved about him last night is in the championship rounds, he proved that he is willing to be a champion by pressing his foot on the gas and trying to apply pressure and try to get, you know, Vargas up out of there. And that's exactly what you got to do, because, you know, sometimes when fighters are up on the scorecards, especially by a wide margin, a lot of them have the the habit of just running around, dancing around the ring with their hands up in victory. But that's the way you want to close the show, to be a champion, and he did that. And I was so proud of him last night. And then moving forward for Vargas, one of the things I've noticed in the preliminary stages of the fight, man, not Vargas, Barrios. Excuse me, Barrios. Man, he looked like he was super bigger than.
Didn't he though?
Oh man, he looked like he was very physically big. But of course, Barrios did just fight Thurman last year. Well, earlier this year, right? Was it? Well, no, it was last year, last April,
It was last
right?
year, yeah.
It was last April. So that was a 147-pound fight, right? So of course he had to drain his weight down just to make that weight. So he looked pretty strong last night. So we'll see. Maybe he's on the comeback, but it was a good card overall. It was a really good card last night overall. Yeah.
Yeah, it was very entertaining. Great. You got to catch that up on replay because it was on Showtime. So
I plan on it. I plan on catching up on it. So I was planning on actually looking at the fight earlier today, Marty. I know you don't know this, but we've been in the transition of upgrading our technical abilities, if you will. And so I was building our new PC with all these new specs and all that good stuff. And I've had a terrible time with it over the last few days. So I didn't get the opportunity to look at any of the fights. But we will, or at least I will get the opportunity probably later today or early tomorrow to watch the fights. Anything else we want to cover there, Jay, from last night before we move on to the next topic?
Last night, those were the two main ones from last night on Showtime on PBC.
Gotcha. So speaking of PBC, and Jay, you brought this up to me earlier today. So apparently, I think it was Michael Benson who tweeted out that Deontay Wilder is currently shopping around for promoters because he's unhappy in terms of the amount of money that they're willing to pay him for an Andy Ruiz fight. And I think he's naming another opponent or something like that. I think to me, I didn't get the opportunity to sit down and actually read it, but I want to toss it to you, Marty. I don't know if you've heard this or not. And you know that there's been a lot of different rumors, innuendo, accusations that the PBC is this, that, and the third, whether they're broke, whether they're not, paying their fighters in the appropriate manner. I've never believed that to be the truth. And I don't know if this is actually true in terms of what they're saying about Deontay Wilder, but what are your thoughts on that, Marty? If you've heard anything about it, or even if this is your first time hearing about it, what are your thoughts?
Well, I mean, I did see a short clip of Wilder talking about when you do a pay-per-view, some of the money does come in a little bit late, but that's not a PBC issue. I want everybody to understand that that's not a PBC issue. That's just how, when you're doing live streaming, pay-per-view buys, some of the pay is delayed. You've heard one of the Paul brothers. I'd be getting those guys mixed up, but the one that fought Mayweather, right? I'm not sure if that was that Logan?
Yeah.
Right. So Logan Paul alluded to, man, it's been months. I didn't get paid yet, and then you can go back and see YSM Sports Media. He did a wonderful job with, I think it was a couple weeks ago. He published something on his platform where a guy named Paul Heyman, of course, there's no relation to Al Heyman, but a gentleman named Paul Heyman, who's an executive of WWE. If you know anything about Paul Heyman, he actually started out as an executive and CEO of ECW, Extreme Championship Wrestling.
I know you're talking about now.
Paul Heyman, Paul E. Dangerously was his name back in the early days, right? So for all of our wrestling
WCW days. Yeah,
that's right. So what it is that Paul did a video, and he was actually talking about how when WWE, when they do their pay-per-view live streaming, the money comes in a little bit later, down the line as well. So when Wilder speaks on that, I don't think he's referring to PBC as a company not paying him, because as I always pointed out on my channel, that the sanctioning body's rules is that all fighters will get paid immediately following their competition inside the ring. So usually what will happen is a fighter will compete in the ring, and right after that, they'll go into the back. After they get checked out by the ringside physician, they'll go in the back, and there's an inspector who represents the commission of that state, and they will be able to get their check, sign off on it, and then they get paid, right then and there. So it's not like fighters are just competing for free. So I wanted to dispel that myth. If any fan have the perception that fighters are just competing in the ring and they're literally not getting paid. That is farthest from the truth. But when it comes to pay-per-view streaming, it can take a little bit of time. It has nothing to do with the promotional company itself.
And honestly, when you think about that, right, just from a logical perspective, it makes sense. It takes time to count up all those pay-per-views and get that revenue through that system, right? Because you got the streaming, you have the terrestrial and the cable television networks and all that stuff where it has to flow through and get those numbers. So it would make sense to me that you don't get paid immediately based off of those pay-per-view numbers. And I believe, and you tell me if I'm wrong, Marty, or not, but it sounds like to me that the PBC is moving more to a model where it's less guarantee and more about the cheeks that you put in the seats. So the vast majority of your money is going to come from those pay-per-view numbers. Is that correct?
That is absolutely correct. And let me put all the promoters on the spot by saying PBC is not the only promoters that have that mentality of, with respect to this part, the fighters getting paid. And when I say mentality, I mean the mentality of making sure that fighters are marketable. You know, the whole name of the game is for fighters to be able to sell tickets. And you don't have to take my word for it. I won't roll the tape on your show, but I will say, for those that don't take my word for it, right? You can ask any fighters from the local level all the way up to championship levels, where the promoters have it locked in and into the contracts, where they'll say, listen, sell some tickets, right? And we'll provide you with a proportion or a percentage of the ticket sales when you actually go out and sell tickets as well. So all promoters, they're looking for the bottom line, and basically the bottom line is just the bottom line, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, no, exactly. And it's interesting, Marty, because to me, a lot of this is just basic common sense. Like, I've never worked in the sport of boxing, the business of boxing at all, but I do work in business. As a matter of fact, one of the things that I noticed about one of your videos that you put out was that you are not only a manager of fighters, but you manage finance. You are a certified financial something like that. I can't remember exactly what the term was.
Credit specialist.
Right. I'm a certified public accountant, right? I work in finance as my normal job, right? So I'm very familiar with businesses. I work for a Fortune 500 company in a global role and global leadership role. So my understanding of business and how it relates across different industries, I'm very familiar and aware of, right? And so even if I don't know the particulars of a business, I do understand when numbers and cents don't make sense, right? And I'm assuming that you do as well, just even if you weren't in the business of boxing.
Oh, absolutely. I am a certified tax practitioner, and I'm also a certified credit counselor. The term for it technically is credit counselor. I like to use this word specialist because I provide educational resources as well with regards to financial literacy, right? So absolutely. And let me put this out there too. When we talk about payment, I think I should have alluded to this earlier, but the promoters actually have to work on the ancillary rights and then the closed circuit fees that, let's say, bars and lounges and different movie theaters, right, that pay these licensing fees to be able to broadcast the event in their establishment. And so, they have to recoup those finances as well. So, it takes time to tally up all of those, including with the live streams as well. So I wanted to put that in perspective from earlier. But yes, I have a very sense of business, a keen sense of finances, numbers. And so I'm very fully aware, of how it works, especially the business of boxing. And this is why I started to get into the business of boxing, to help the up and coming fighters learn about the business, and from a tax standpoint and an asset protection standpoint, letting them understand that they themselves are the business, as a fighter. Right. And so that's one of the things that I've gotten to the business of boxing to do, is to educate the fighters up and coming, and then help them basically get into contracts that are not just only favorable to the promoter, but favorable to the fighter. And I have advised a lot of other fighters, help them get out of contracts that weren't so favorable. So I kind of work it both ways, man.
I hear you. Jay, what are your thoughts on that, man? Deontay Wilder supposedly shopping around for a new promoter because he's not happy with the finances and the dollars associated with the Andy Ruiz fight. Thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, the fact that he's mentioned the other fight is definitely the other fight is a money grab for all parties involved because he's talking about fighting on Francis from UFC, the heavyweight, because he just left his contract. I think he just canceled his contract. His contract ended over there with UFC. So I mean, it's been mentioned about Francis fighting him, Francis fighting Tyson Fury. You know, the MMA versus boxing realm. To me that's the more like WWE-ish type stuff. So I mean, I don't know if that's the lane that PBC wants to get into because they're not really into that. They're into like legitimate boxing matches. So and then with them being upset about the Andy Ruiz, I mean, I don't know what the amount of revenue they want, what he wants, what's his number for him to fight Andy Ruiz because honestly, it's not for a title. Andy looked okay in his last fight against Luis Ortiz. But it wasn't like a something like a mega fight. Wilder's going to sell no matter what, because he brings drama. He knocks people out. Is Andy worth a large payday or a medium payday? That I don't know. So I mean, it's hard for me to believe that they're just going to just completely stiff him because he's been putting cheeks in seats. But he's been putting cheeks in seats also with the 3 fights against Tyson Fury. That's not going to be matched for him fighting Andy Ruiz if he's trying to get the same type of pay.
And also, if I may,
yeah, go ahead.
Okay. With that, you look at both of their numbers from a pay-per-view standpoint. I think Andy Ruiz's last pay-per-view fight was against Luis Ortiz, if I'm not mistaken. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, Helenius fought Wilder in his last pay-per-view fight. So if you look at both of those fights that they fought in their last pay-per-view outing, I mean, it wasn't like a big spectacular event such as Andy Ruiz fighting Joshua, right? And then, Wilder fighting a Tyson Fury, right? So to put those two guys together, location would be the way that they can generate that income. I mean, you look at Andy Ruiz is a Mexican-American fighter, right? So if you go on the West Coast, like over there in California or even in Vegas, they can pull it off with the live gate because, that West Coast have a very, very highly populated Mexican fan base. So that'll be a way to be able to pull it in the money. But at the same time, I'm not saying Wilder's not being realistic because like you said, Jason, we don't know what his number is, but Wilder have to be realistic when we talk about negotiating a specific number because, both of those guys are not like on the top peak of their careers because they all suffered losses, right? And they lost the title. So we have to put that in consideration. And also, I believe Wilder does have good representation. He's managed by Shelly Finkel along with Al. Yeah. So he has good representation. So they can actually get that thing done, so we'll see. I hope he stays with PBC and they can materialize the fight.
I do too. I know Wilder had a interview. I forget what channel. I don't know if it was YSM or a Setback, but he had mentioned, about pay, like mentioned earlier. He also mentioned how boxers don't have healthcare, and I found out, I was like, that's very problematic for them not to have healthcare automatic, part of their job. It's ridiculous to me for them not to have that because that's the key thing for them.
Well, the reason I don't know if I should talk on that part, Jason.
No, go right ahead. I mean, I that's why we want you on it because you can bring a perspective that a lot of people don't know and can't get to.
Okay, got you. So the reason why fighters don't have healthcare automatically is because of the tax classification that fighters are in. If you look at a professional athlete in general, particularly professional boxers, you will discover that their tax classification is a sole proprietorship. In other words, is the IRS govern their tax classification as a self-employee, such as a barber or a hairstylist or a Lyft driver or ride-sharing driver. In other words, is when they file their taxes, they are classified as a 1099 self-employed individual, right? And so when you have a 1099 self-employed individual, you don't have to be, when I say you, let me be clear on when I say you, a business, an organization, do not have to follow the same regulations as if those 1099 self-employed individuals were employees of the company themselves. So let's take PBC as a classic example. You have PBC, they contract the workout. Let's say Swanson Communications. Kelly Swanson. Kelly Swanson is the president and CEO as a publicist, right? So anytime PBC want to hire a publicist, they don't have a publicist on staff, right? So they'll hire a contractor. Anytime, let's say PBC want to host an event, they'll have a fighter or a couple of fighters utilize their services and render their services to compete in the boxing match professionally. But because they're not a part of the staff, there's certain regulations that they don't have to be governed by. In other words, is if PBC hires a secretary, right? That's not an independent contractor. That's an actual employee. In other words, is there's an employee handbook that secretary will have. There's an orientation that the organization will have to make sure that they govern and regulate for that employee. There's health insurance premiums that the organization will have to pay on behalf of that employee to offer them health benefits, right? There's training. These are all regulations from the state and the federal government that governs organizations. And so what PBC does, just like any other organization, they contract the workout. And when they contract the workout, then obviously they just get paid for their services. They don't have to train the independent contractor. They don't have to provide them with an employee handbook. They don't have to provide them with health insurance premiums and different things of that nature. It's no different of a ride sharing driver, like a Lyft driver or an Uber driver. They don't provide any training. They don't provide any health insurance coverage. And that's because of the tax classification. And so even though Uber and Lyft may have secretaries and administrative assistants, et cetera, right, as a part of staff members, they are obligated by federal law to offer those type of services and benefits to them, opposed to an independent contractor.
Absolutely. So let's pause here real quick because we gotta pay the bills. Rock Dog Interactive, bite-sized solutions for big ideas. Go check them out. Anything that you need from a web perspective, your thumbnails, your logos, whatever, they can help you with it, and they've helped us a lot in terms of our design and what we brought forth to you guys. And then also Black Father Figures, Black Fathers Matter. I know that they have a cruise coming up. Jay, can you just kind of elaborate on the cruise very quickly that they have coming up?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So Black Father Figures Cruise, it'll be December 2nd through December 9th of this year, out of Port Canaveral. It will be departing out of Port Canaveral. First day of Sea Day, Cozumel, Georgetown, Ocho Rios, Great Stirrup Cay, Bahamas, and then back to Port Canaveral. So definitely check it out. I'll put the link in the chat.
Yep. And you guys, hey, you might end up seeing Jason and I there. How cool would that be? You get to touch Jason and myself, who, really nobody special, but I mean, we'll still have a drink. I mean, yeah. So anyway, guys, go check it out. Black Father Figures, the cruise. I mean, that would be amazing. If Jason and I are there, we definitely will be partying with you guys and having a great time. So that would be amazing. Go check it out. Also, if you're in the building, we got 90 folks in the building currently. We got 34 likes. If you haven't had the opportunity, please hit the like button and hit the dislike button if you don't like the content, but make sure that you interact with the content. And then go hit that little icon there in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen. It's a subscribe button. Subscribe to the channel. We're always dropping content, and I think you'll like the content that we're dropping. Also, go subscribe to Chicken Talk, the Mic Check podcast. Guys are in the chat right now. Please drop your link in there. And, of course, go subscribe to Manager Marty. He's always talking the business of boxing. So,
and
Jay,
the boxing source.
And the boxing source. Absolutely. The boxing source. I always screw that one up and say the boxing voice, but the boxing source. Jay, anything else we want to cover in regards to Deontay Wilder?
Not that I can think of.
Cool, man. So let's make this quick transition, man. Tim Tszyu. I thought it was interesting that Tim Tszyu was asked about Tony Harrison. This was a few days ago. And they asked him specifically about Errol Spence and the fact that Errol Spence was betting against him. And instead of talking about the fact that Errol Spence is betting against him and why Errol Spence will be wrong in March, he instead talked about Errol Spence potentially moving up and he would like to welcome him to 154 pounds. So he's basically looking for the opportunity to fight Errol Spence. So I want to pass it to you very quickly, Jay. I felt like that was a bit of clout chasing because we know in and around that weight class, Errol Spence is the money man, no matter how much people try to deny it. He's probably the number 2 pay-per-view draw behind Canelo Alvarez. And so any moment, any opportunity someone's going to, any opportunity a person gets, they're going to try to tie their names to Errol Spence. That includes Tim Tszyu. And of course, we all know that's what Terence Crawford is currently doing. What are your thoughts on that, bro?
I mean, Tszyu need to worry about what he has in front of him. He has a hard matchup with Tony Harrison. And it's not guaranteed that he's going to get past Tony Harrison because Tony Harrison, if he's on his A game, he's going to box your head off. You know, Tony can box. You know, he may not be the hardest hitter, but he hits hard enough to keep you off of him. And he uses angles. He's slick. He's a vet. You know, I just hope Tony's not going completely too cocky against Tszyu because he says he don't see anything special about him. I'm like, I get that, Tony.
He ain't wrong.
You got to handle it. He might not be wrong, but he needs to handle his business because we know Tony, if he's not on his game, he gets caught. He's kind of chinny at times. You know, that's the only time he's really lost when he's not been on his A game out there. So, I mean, I see it as Tszyu is kind of clout chasing because Spence the hot topic. You know, it's either Spence or Bud, you know, for him to really be talking about. He's talking about Spence when you have Tony Harrison, number 1. Number 2, you got Jermaine Charlo. So you got 2 heavy hitters in front of you to even try to get to Spence. And that's even when Spence moves up to 154. Also, Spence won't have a belt. So there's no need really to bring Spence's name up to say, I welcome to the division. Why? You got Tony right now, and then you got a chance to be undisputed. So to me, that's using Spence names for clout chasing. What you think, Marty?
Marty, I'm going to throw it to you very quickly. What are your thoughts on that?
I think it's everything that you all just said. I mean, Tim Tszyu is just doing this for PR purposes. I mean, basically, I mean, even if he beats Tony Harrison, and let's say for the sake of argument, Errol Spence do move up to the 154-pound division, why would you want to fight Spence when you got Charlo right there with all the belts? You got that other, the Inferno Tower. I think that's his name, the Tower and Inferno.
Yeah, Fundora. He's already there. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So go call them big dogs out that's already there. Don't call Spence out. But like y'all said, this is all public relations. He's trying to put Spence's name out there. It's no different than the tactics that Top Rank and Bob Arum and Terence Crawford been doing. They put Spence's name out there, get the fans all rallied up to be able to see, oh, if he wins, then he'll fight Spence next. When in all actuality, there's no point of talking about Spence being realistic to fight a Tim Tszyu. And he definitely got his hands full with Tony Harrison. There's no question about that. That's going to be a great fight. Absolutely.
That's going to be a great fight. I cannot wait to see that fight.
Man.
Tony has every tool available in order to win that fight. My concern is that Tony will not be able to hold up under the power and pressure of Tszyu. I think he's right in terms of just Tszyu not being anything special. I don't see any special effects. He's straight up and down. But at the same time, we have seen Tony Harrison be a bit chinny at times. And then you know how it is, guys. We've been watching boxing for years. Under that pressure, man, guys wilt. So not to say that, you know, Tszyu is just this amazing pressure fighter or anything of that nature, but at the end of the day, I think he could beat Tony. Now, would I be surprised if Tony wins this fight? Absolutely not. Do I believe Tszyu will ever make it to an Errol Spence fight? Absolutely not. But I've been saying what you said, Marty, for years, is that it's the Bob Arum school of promoting. He's not only been doing it with Terence Crawford, he's been doing it all the way back to Manny Pacquiao.
Oh, yes.
That's how Manny Pacquiao got so popular, because he was tied to Floyd Mayweather. Now, don't get me wrong. Manny did some great things in the ring, but it was always the allure of the possibility of him getting in the ring and being able to possibly knock out Mayweather is what really sold and promoted Manny Pacquiao. Outside of that, he wasn't that big of a deal. And some people may agree, maybe others disagree, but those are my thoughts on that.
Yeah, I will say this. If Tszyu is able to get past Tony and Jermell Charlo and then run around and fight Spence, if Spence is, you know, one of the top 2 in 154, props to Tszyu. Because that's a murderous row right there. That 3, that's a triple threat.
Let me ask you guys this question since we're talking about Tony Harrison, because I believe that Tony Harrison, This is just my personal observation, just watching fighters. One of the things I do as a judge with the amateurs, I always watch, and professional fighters, I always watch the legs of fighters first. When I'm just watching just the older fighters, you know, the guys that's, and the women, but the fighters that have competed with a lot of experience and wear and tear on their bodies. And I see that Harrison's legs is not as stable as they were when he fought, let's say, a Charlo the first time, right? And so, do you all believe that in order for Harrison to win this fight, he can't just lay back on the ropes like he did in his last fight because of his legs, and he has to push Tszyu back and make Tszyu respect that jab and that overhand right that he has? Do y'all think that he'll have a better shot winning when he pushes Tszyu back, or do you think he'll do better just laying against the ropes against Costa Tszyu? I mean, Costa Tszyu's son.
He got to push him. He got to push him back. If he lays on the rope, in my opinion, he's a sitting duck. Jay, I know you want to jump in here because I know you've been looking at both of these guys, but go ahead and jump in there. But those are my quick thoughts on it. Is that I think he's a sitting duck if he just lays on the ropes.
Yeah, no, I agree. He can't just sit there and lay there because he did that and Mel got him up out of there. You know, not saying that Tszyu is the same as level as Mel, but Tszyu can crack. You know, and Tim has to be smart. He has to box. He has to box Tim's head off, and he can't just sit there and be laying against the rope. That's not good. And I was worried about his legs as well, Marty, because I've seen that too. I noticed he's older. He's been through some wars and he's been through some stuff outside the ring as far as losing his father. You know, so that was always my biggest concern, to see how Tony would be with the new voice in his ear. You know, knowing his dad's not there anymore. He had one fight that wasn't that good after his dad passed. Then another fight he looked decent. You know, so we'll see. But he seemed like he's rejuvenated right now. You know, after training Baumgartner to an awesome win and being undisputed there, and the fact that he knows he get a chance at another crack at Mel, he seemed like he's with it right now. He seemed like he's really focused. So it's gonna be interesting. But if he lays against that rope, it's not gonna be good for him, I don't think.
It won't be pretty at all. Let me pause here real quickly. We got 114 people in the building, 54 likes. If you get the opportunity, please hit the like button. Or if you don't like the content, hit the dislike button. But make sure that you engage with the content. And also, you see that little box in the right-hand corner. It's the subscribe button. Please hit that because we are always dropping content. And come on over to the channel. We would like to interact with you. Also, while you're at it, subscribe to Manager Marty, Chicken Talk, the Mike Check Podcast, and also the Boxing Source. Guys, if you get the opportunity, please drop your links in the comment section. All right, Jay, what else do we have, man? We had almost 40 minutes. We definitely got some more topics we want to cover.
Oh, yeah. So, yo boy, Rocha saying he's ready for Bud. So he's just as good as anyone else on Bud's resume. What y'all thoughts on that?
So Marty, I dropped a video very quickly. This was Jay, what was this, Wednesday? I think it was
Wednesday or Tuesday. Wednesday, 1 or 2. Yeah,
somewhere in there. Dropped this video, and I was reading through, just browsing the internet, man. I'm always browsing the internet, and I'm looking at the details of what people are saying because I think there's a lot of conclusions that you can draw from what people are saying. And I ran across this interview. I think it was Bad Left Hook was the website, and they were talking. Whoever it was talking to Rocha and asked Rocha about his, I guess, the likelihood that he may even, get the fight, or, how he would perform, how does he measure up against the past opponents. And he mentioned that he is just like Terence Crawford last opponents and other opponents. And I'm just like, dude, that's the worst thing you can say, because his resume at 147 pounds is absolutely awful. And so in saying that, he's basically telling everybody not to buy the fight, because you're going to see the same results that you saw against David Avanesian, which I think was a bad tactic on his part. But Marty, I'm going to throw it to you very quickly, man. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, my question would be to Mr. Rocha is, who's your manager? Because if you had good representation, they would have definitely told you, please don't talk to the media and say anything related to comparing yourself to the resume of Crawford. And if you are, you better make sure you say, in his last 6 opponents in the welterweight division, I'm better than all of them put together. That's what you should have said, Rocha, if you wanted people to really buy into you having an opportunity and even a chance of even beating Crawford. Now, by you saying that, it's almost like you saying, well, this is not going to be a different fight from basically him fighting David Evanesian, because I'm on the same level as him and the rest of these guys. He was better off just not even saying anything, because the bottom line is Oscar De La Hoya and Golden Boy, they're the ones that keep talking about, what they told Crawford as far as, hey, we're going to get you to fight Rocha first. And then, since he's already number 4 ranked or number 3 at this point, ranked in the WBO, he should have just left that alone and let the promoter speak on his behalf as far as, building him up. And so that's how you get to promote some really exciting fights, even though we might know, us hardcore fans, oh man, this fight is a mismatch. But this is how you do it. You got to build the fighter up and make the fans really think that the guy has a chance. But by Rocha saying that was more like counterintuitive. I don't know why he said that. Who's his manager in the first place? He need to call manager Marty, because I'm going to help him out. Help him out.
Hey, Rocha, you see this video, you know what to do. You got an open invitation to manager Marty right there, my man.
Yes, sir.
Jason, what are your thoughts on that, bro?
I mean, Rocha is just saying stuff. He's never been to this level before. He's never had an opportunity like this before, really. So, I mean, he's just saying whatever. I mean, all the other stuff he said, oh, well, Spence is scared and all this other shit he said. I'm just like, dude, your best win is Blair Cobbs. You lost the Speedy Rashidi. You have no reason to mention Bud's name or Spence's name, honestly, because you're not on their level, either one. Regardless of who people may think may win out of Bud and Spence, you're not on either one of those guys' level. You're really not ready for a fight for them, because it should be the Stanionis, Virgil, Boots, any of them should be getting a fight with Bud instead of you.
Hey, Marty, I want to throw something to you very quickly, man.
Sure.
And this is just my thoughts on this. I've said this for a while. I know you're closer to these types of things than Jason and I are, and I just want to throw this to you. So if you look at the WBO rankings, you can go to their website and you can go all the way back and you can see the rankings all the way back probably to like 2019, 2018. And if you look at their rankings in the WBO, Ortiz and Boots Ennis had been highly ranked, probably 1 and 2, ever since late 2020, early 2021. Mm-hmm. And of course, Terence Crawford was a champion. Never at one point or at any point did they order an eliminator between those two individuals for the right to fight Terence Crawford. And I find that to be interesting. And you have the same 1, 2, and 3 for like months on end before you mandate any kind of mandatory, right? And you allow him to go and fight. And don't get me wrong, I know it wasn't mandatory at that, in 2020, past, the Porter fight or whatever. But prior to the Porter fight, in my opinion, there was an opportunity for him to fight either one of those guys instead of fighting Porter. And then subsequent to that, there was an opportunity for him to fight, because we already know that this 18-month rule does not exist thanks to manager Marty and looking through the WBO rules. So why do you think that they did not order an eliminator between those two fighters that, in my opinion, would have been far more dangerous than a David Evanesian or a Rocha? They never ordered that. It almost feels like the WBO is working in conjunction with Terence Crawford. It feels like, to some degree. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, that's a very interesting point that you brought up, Greg. And the WBO has been working in conjunction with Terence Crawford since he's been with Top Rank. I mean, if you go back into the ranking system and you look at all of the champions from the WBO all the way to the smaller weights all the way up, you will discover, and this is for years, this is not now, this is just for years of the history, you will see that Top Rank fighters, they're mostly all WBO champions, right? Mm-hmm. And so that goes to show you that there's a business relationship between the promoter and the sanctioning body. No different than Don King, and his fighters always having the opportunity to compete for the WBC championships because of his relationship with Jose Suleiman, who is Mauricio's dad, God rest his soul. And so what it is you're looking at a situation where the WBO understands that if they put someone in there to fight their champion Crawford, that person has to be marketable enough. And the reason why is because if you go to the rules and regulations of these sanctioning bodies, it's not just that the champion who's competing in the fight will have to pay a sanctioning fee, the challenger does as well. And most people don't know that. But the challenger, of course, will pay a smaller percentage of a sanctioning fee than the champion. But the bottom line is that those two guys, Ortiz and Boots or Jaron Ennis, they are highly competitive fights for Terence Crawford. And the likelihood of Terence Crawford either getting hurt or having a close win against those guys or even losing are very, very high probabilities. And so when you have a guy like a Virgil Ortiz or Boots Ennis who is not as marketable to bring in all of the cash, and of course they're going to justify paying the 2 to 3% purse fee, but the bottom line is Crawford makes and generates more money than those two guys. But if they had a bigger name like an Errol Spence, you know good and well they know the probability of him losing or winning a very close fight is more of a higher probability than fighting a smaller up and coming guy like a Boots Ennis or Virgil Ortiz. So it's just so in that situation, I see nothing but typical business. They just trying to make sure they keep all the money in-house.
So I want to address a couple of things that are in the chat. So Joan Turner says, let me see if I can find it. Panelists, why does the sanctioning body need to urge a fighter to challenge a champion? So that's number one. And then Green, the bigger question should be, why didn't Ennis or Ortiz petition like they did the other belts? So this is what is so strange to me, is that now we take these narratives and we just kind of run with them, right? It's not the job of a fighter to petition for opportunity to fight for a title. It is the sanctioning body's job to make sure that they are cycling through the different contenders and giving everybody the opportunity at the title, period. So stop with this petition shit. It doesn't make any sense. Now, I will speak to the other comment about the WBC. I actually, Manager Marty, you just spoke to it, right? There is a relationship between, it seems like there might be a relationship between Errol Spence or Al Heyman and the WBC, which are, they're allowing him to defend his title or at least satisfy his mandatory at 154 pounds. But they're not letting him skirt out of the fight. They're still forcing and enforcing him to fight the guy. They're not waiting around and so forth and so on. So that
still is mandatory.
Yes. Is there a relationship? Probably. But to the point that you're making, it is the business of boxing. Go ahead, Jay. I'm sorry for cutting you off.
No, I cut you off. No, I was just saying also Thurman is still a mandatory. It's not some random dude. Whether you're satisfied with him fighting Thurman at 154 for no belt or at 147, he still would be fighting Thurman because that's his mandatory and it satisfies it one way or another. I don't like it at all, but it satisfies the mandatory for all those that say Spence never fights his mandatories. Now he's doing it and y'all still got a problem.
And also, if I may allude to piggybacking off of what I was saying, to answer your question, you got to understand this, and the fans has to understand this. This business is about pay to play. So not only is the sanctioning bodies receiving, purse fees from the champions and the challengers, don't forget there are fees that are associated and allocated for the promoter to have to pay as well. And I'm not just talking about every time a fight happened. That's, of course, no doubt about that. But as soon as a fighter that is managed by a manager or promoted by a promoter is ranked in the top 15, they got to have to start coughing up some more money to the sanctioning bodies. And so if you look at it like this, let's say Manager Marty, let's say one of my fighters is ranked in the top 10, and I know that the next fight that my fighter wins will probably be in the top 5, right? I'm just using that as an example. But I'm competing against Al Heyman. I'm competing against a Oscar De La Hoya. I'm competing against a top rank. When it comes to fees that are associated with this, of course, their bankroll is way more money than I can generate or that I even have accessible enough to even just lose, just to pay, just to, even the playing field that for my guy that I'm managing to actually get a shot. So we have to look at that plays a part in it as well. And I'm not saying that Boots or Virgil Ortiz representation don't have the money, but what I'm basically saying is, when you get on those type of levels, like you said, Greg, you're expecting the sanctioning bodies to do what the committee said that they would do in their own regulations. We don't have to write a petition. I mean, this is in your regulations. So why do we have to go above and beyond, to advocate for a fighter to get a fight that they naturally deserve? It's no different than what's happening with Thurman. I think you alluded to this, Jason, and I have a big problem with it as well, where Thurman beat Barrios in his last fight, and that was a WBC title eliminated, if I'm not mistaken, right? And so that's how they advertised it. They took both sanctioning fees from the fighters, plus they took the fees from the promoter, not just through the event, but a registration fee that they get every year. So it's like, okay, now Keith Thurman beat Mario Barrios. Now it's time for him to get that WBC welterweight title shot. And now you're talking about moving up to 154 and the title's not being on the line. There's something wrong with that picture there. You know what I mean? In Thurman's case, if I was representing Thurman as a manager, me and Mauricio, we have some big conversations. Big time. I have to fly over to Mexico and come to the office and talk to you in person. Y'all got to explain this to Manager Mark. This don't make no sense. You know what I mean? Straight up, I paid y'all money. You know what I mean? My guy won in the title eliminator. It is what it is. We ready for Spence. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And it's one thing I want to address in the chat, because they're saying that it's an imaginary precedence that was set in terms of being able to defend your title. Now, Mauricio Suleiman did not necessarily state the precedence, but he did say that there was a precedence of this occurring. Now, we know that there's been weird things that have happened in the sport of boxing. I do remember Sugar Ray Leonard fighting Donnie Lalonde for the 175-pound and 168-pound title in one fight. They were fighting for both titles. So how does that occur? So let's not act like these things have not occurred in the sport of boxing in the past. I mean, they have. Weird things have occurred. I mean, it has. So I'm pretty sure that there is a precedence of this happening before. We just don't remember or are aware of it currently.
And my take, I think it's also a way of pettiness for Spence, because he said he was never going to fight Thurman, but he's been mandated to fight Thurman. So this way, even if he loses Thurman, he doesn't lose his belt.
That's good. But that's good management. But that's good management, because everybody wins. I mean, well, unfortunately, Thurman won't win the belt, but he's going to get a good payday. But watch this, he's going to get a good payday out of it. You see, so everybody's going. So he's going to get a big payday. Spence going to get a nice little payday. All of the executives that runs the promotion, they're going to get a good payday, and so does the WBC. So everybody wins. But watch this. It's an opportunity for Crawford to come back down to 47 if he chooses to say, I'm going to see if Crawford really, really wants to fight, and let's see if we can make this happen, since I still have all of the 3 belts attained and maintained in the welterweight division, to see if we can actually unify the title. Because I think Spence really, really want to unify all the titles at 147 before he legitimately moves up. I mean, it'll be a sad thing to see this guy vacate all those titles or even lose them in the ring. That'll be a sad travesty in this business. But things happen,
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, I agree with. I mean, I think he really wants that undisputed. People, it's just crazy. Like some people were saying beforehand, well, Spence didn't spin the block yet. I'm like, he hasn't even fought since he beat Ugas. So I mean, spin the block to me, in my eyes, would mean that he's going to take care of his mandatories because he has to, so he doesn't get stripped. And then if Thurman is still available, I mean, if Bud is still available with the WBO, he hasn't moved up or anything or lost, they're going to get it on so he can get the undisputed. That's my mind. He's not having to wait on Bud. Bud damn sure didn't wait on him. So
let's not talk about that. It's giving me flashbacks about the guy that called in last week.
Oh man, yeah, that was
he was killing me.
Anyway,
let me pause right here again. 137 people in the building. We got 75 likes. If you get the opportunity, please hit the like button. And if you don't like the content, hit the dislike button, but make sure that you are engaging with the content. Also, there's a little icon in the right-hand corner, the bottom right-hand corner of the screen, subscribe button. Hit that subscribe button. Be a part of the channel. We are always dropping content. You can always find Jason and I in the comment section. Also, while you're at it, subscribe to Manager Marty, the Mic Check Podcast, of course, my boy Chicken Talk, and the Boxing Source. all these guys interact with us, man. They're almost like sister channels to us. And we appreciate all the content that they're putting out there as well. All right, man. So let's transition because we're at 54 minutes and we haven't touched on a few topics. Ryan versus Tank. The fight is in trouble. First of all, let me pause out right here and give Chicken Talk some props again. Chicken Talk did a Spaces. I think this was, what was it, Tuesday or Wednesday? No. It was this past week, but it was like,
yeah, it was. Yeah. I want to say it was Tuesday night.
Yeah. So he did a Spaces and had Steven Espinoza on there, man. Chicken Talk, his arms are, I mean, he got reach, bro. And so he had Steven Espinoza on there, and he kind of talked a little bit about where they were in negotiation. He couldn't really go into detail, but he touched on it a little bit and basically said that if truly the only issue was a rematch clause, then hey, he felt like they were in a good spot. Now it's been a few days later. We still haven't really heard any update. We did see a video from Ryan Garcia, courtesy of ES News. And he didn't really have the energy, bro. Like they were talking to him about the fight, and he was like, hey, I'm fighting in April. I hope it's going to be Gervonta Davis. I don't know, so forth and so on. So that doesn't give me a whole lot of hope that this fight is actually going to materialize. So Jay, I want to pass it to you quickly and get your thoughts on where do we go from here, man? Is this something that's going to happen? And then hopefully Chicken Talk will be one of the people that call in and he'll give us an update as well if he has one. What are your thoughts, Jay?
Yeah. I mean, I'm not a big Ryan fan as far as like the way he does business, nor Oscar, because Ryan talked all that shit last year and kept pulling out. He was all over the place, using Tank's name for everything, but pulling out, I'm going to fight Manny Pacquiao, I'm going to fight this, I'm going to do that, and then do nothing. Same thing with Oscar. Oscar alluded to, like Steven Espinosa said in the Spaces, like if that's the only thing that Oscar actually put out public, that was being put out publicly, that it was just the rematch clause, then we're in good place. Now all of a sudden Oscar posts out, well, yeah, contrary to popular belief about the rematch clause, just the other things. Now it's other things. Oscar, which one is? You said a while back we got everything, we're good to go.
Right.
So he's all over the place with it, man. It's like I honestly think Ryan wants to fight Tank. I don't think he's afraid of Tank. I think he really wants this fight, honestly. I think Oscar is just really trying to buy his time because he doesn't have anybody else on his brand. No one else. Ryan loses this fight, especially if Ryan gets stretched easily. Who else he has? Zurdo? Nope. He lost already. Munguia won't get in the ring with nobody. Or Oscar won't let him get in the ring with anybody. So he doesn't have anyone else out there. So I think it's more so on Oscar. I'm just tired of Oscar playing these games. And Oscar's trying to point the finger at everyone else without thinking that he has three other fingers pointing back at him when he points at someone.
Marty, I'm going to pass it to you, man. What are your thoughts?
Hey, man, listen, I'm not even going to touch on this too long. I just dropped some content earlier today regarding it. And even I think it was earlier this week. And let me tell you this. I agree with everything Jason said 100%. And this is how you know it's a shame and nonsense, because Oscar De La Hoya is talking to Twitter. He's talking to Instagram. Like is that who you're filtering the information to in the middle of negotiations? Where an executive of a network, Steven Espinosa, said himself, he didn't even know that Oscar, had all of these things to say. He was surprised himself. So it has to be some sort of etiquette, some business ethics, some business etiquette, some professionalism involved when you're negotiating big fights like this and going through social media to point the finger at PBC, point the finger at this person. It is totally unprofessional on Oscar De La Hoya's part. And it's basically, to me, it's like he's casting seeds of doubt so that if the fight don't happen, everybody will point the fingers elsewhere instead of the three fingers that's pointed back at him. And to finish this off and conclude this based on what Jason has said, about that Ryan Garcia being the only big time, fighter that he has. If you compare him to PBC, it's like PBC, their product is Android and iPhones. And unfortunately, De La Hoya and Golden Boy, they still operating off of Boost mobile phones. They just don't have the product. they just don't have the product. Yeah. So if Ryan Garcia lose, this is probably it. No disrespect to the other fighters that they have on their roster, but it's like they don't really have anyone else or a stable of fighters to basically regroup as a promotional company if Ryan Garcia loses this fight to Tank Davis. And also, with that being said, Ryan himself said he don't want a rematch because, he is very confident in trying to materialize this fight. And I do think Ryan Garcia really wants to fight. But if Ryan Garcia loses this fight, there won't be a rematch clause. And guess what? That'd probably be the end or near to the end of Golden Boy until they start regrouping and getting. They got to upgrade their Boost Mobiles. Got to get off the Boost Mobile lines and get some better product.
Yo, they've had an issue with Al Heyman since the whole issue with Heyman taking those fighters that were supposedly on Golden Boy, because if I'm not mistaken, none of them were actually signed to Golden Boy as the promoter, and took them all over to PBC. And so he had the issue with Richard Schaefer and, of course, Al Heyman. So Oscar, his business has not been the same since then. Now, we had Canelo Alvarez. That was the only fighter that he really had. And now Canelo's going in. And I totally agree with what both of you guys are saying. I think he's in a weird situation currently. He doesn't necessarily have a product. He doesn't necessarily have the fighters. And so instead of actually going and trying to handle the business associated with the boxing, he's more so trying to cast those seeds of doubts that you just mentioned in order to just cast the PBC as the villain, because he knows that there are a lot of people that want to see them in that light, right? So Oscar, to your point, I've said this on many of occasions. I said it when Terence Crawford went to Twitter and started talking about, I'm ready for you to spin the blood, all that bullshit. If you actually ready for those gentlemen to go back to the negotiating table, you already said that you know Al Heyman, you've talked to him directly. Clearly, you have talked to Errol Spence on multiple occasions directly. If you want to reignite negotiations, you call those men directly. You do not go to Twitter talking about, I'm ready to spin the block. All that shit right there is strictly for the fans in order to create and paint a narrative that does not exist.
Facts.
Exactly. So let's see, man. What else do we have here, Jay, that we want to cover today?
Two of your two favorite fighters, Josh and Tszyu, jointly ducking Jack, Catterall, and Regis Prograis.
So I know this one here is near and dear to your heart. So I'm going to go directly to you, man. Go ahead and spill your heart, man. What is it that you're feeling inside, Jay?
Oh, man, if it walks like a duck, sounds like a duck, quacks like a duck, it's a damn duck. Josh and Tszyu, they're ducks. You know, Josh Taylor arguably lost that fight against Catterall. Arguably lost. That was a close-ass fight. And I really feel Catterall won that fight. You know, so Catterall had the rematch set up. Josh gets hurt, has an injury, whatnot. Now all of a sudden, you're not gonna fight Jack again. You're gonna fight Tszyu, who doesn't know if he still has it. His words, not mine. After his last fight, that he got gifted. In most cases, and most people think that he got gifted a win against Sandor Martin. Tszyu, you ducking Regis. You had a chance at Regis. Why not fight Regis? He ducked him. Josh Taylor, why didn't you give Regis a rematch? That was a damn good fight between the both of you guys. It was a close fight. I had Regis win that by 1 round. You didn't give Regis a rematch. You know why? Because you know Regis was tough, and Regis probably going to kick your ass the second time around. So the fact that both of those two are now going to fight each other is infuriating me, because I'm like, this ain't the fight that should be happening. It really shouldn't. And also, Josh Taylor said before Tszyu got to 140, Tszyu, you don't have nothing to offer me at 140. You don't have no belts. You have nothing. You haven't done anything at 140. So why would I want to fight you? And now all of a sudden, this is rumored to be the next fight for them. Man, both of them ducks, man. I'm done with those two.
Marty, your thoughts?
Hey, man, if both of these guys fight, it'll just be like two ducks quacking and whapping their wings in the pond, baby. That's all it's going to be.
Oh, man.
That's my thoughts on it, man. You know I'm going to keep it 100.
Oh, man, I appreciate that, too. Appreciate that. So, Jay, anything else you want to say on that, man? Because I know that one was near and dear to your heart.
No, I just hate when, you know, they be hypocrites about this shit. You know, Josh Taylor did it about fighting Tszyu. Tszyu did it with Regis. And, you know, I give much props and respect to Jack Catterall, because he called him out, and he's like, hey, Regis, they ducking you, they ducking me. Hey, let's get it on. So hopefully we'll see that Jack Catterall and Regis fight. And that's going to be a hell of a fight too.
Ooh, that's going to be. I think that's a more competitive fight than Josh taking on Tszyu. Honestly speaking.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah,
I agree with that.
Hey, Couple other things before we open up the phone lines. So we know that Anthony Joshua officially has a new trainer, and it's DJ. We'll see what he looks like against Jermaine Franklin. I think Jermaine Franklin may be a bit of a live dog in this fight. Jay, thoughts on that? Marty, thoughts on that? What do you guys think about the fact that DJ is now going to be, by DJ, I mean Derrick James is going to be the trainer of AJ, and then thoughts on Jermaine Franklin and whether or not he'll be a live dog?
For me, I think DJ might be the right trainer for AJ because he has more of a calming voice. AJ doesn't strike me the type to take direction from someone that's going to be yelling at him. I don't think he works that way. Yeah, for me, I'm used to when I play football and whatnot. I'm used to people getting your ass, yelling at you, make sure you get
in your ass, all up in your ass.
I'm just, hey, pause. But yeah,
you just said the same thing, bro. What you talking about? You pausing yourself?
You emphasize a little bit too much. So, but I think Derrick James can help him out. But how much I don't know because it's going to be their first camp. And fighting someone like Jermaine Franklin, who looked decent pretty good against Dylan White, and a lot of people think he may have won that fight against Dylan White, or at least had a draw with Dylan White. Fighting AJ, he's shorter in stature, so he might be everything what AJ needed for a new fight with DJ being the trainer. But old habits die slow. So when that heat gets on him, no matter what DJ has taught him recently, he's gonna go back to what he knows and most comfortable with. And that might be to his detriment against Jermaine Franklin. Like, Jermaine Franklin ain't got nothing to lose in this fight here. That's just my thoughts on it.
I think that Jermaine Franklin, if he is going to fight Joshua, he needs to go in there and do a better job than he did with White. And he's going to have to let his hands go and just swing for the fences and just let it all hang loose because he has nothing to lose. With regards to Anthony Joshua, and I know this is going to be a little bit critical to say, but you can't teach heart in this game. You can't teach heart in this sport. So even if he goes to Derrick James, and this is no shot, I love Derrick James. I really do. I think he's a great trainer. And he can teach, Joshua some of those fundamentals that Joshua really never had because, Joshua was going in just annihilating people, right? And so it's good to have that those fundamentals, but like Jason said, when somebody hit you and when somebody puts you in a position where you start getting flashbacks where a fight that basically messed your career up, like what Andy Ruiz did to you, you start reverting back to doing what you're comfortable with doing. And so I think he lost a lot of fans, a lot of credit, and a lot of eyes that was really saying Joshua's the man because he lacked a little bit of heart. So even if he's with Derrick James and Derrick James is teaching him all the great things that Derrick James know how to teach, if this guy does not work on his heart issue, and when I say heart, I mean like if you get dropped, you got to get back up and get ready to fight. And we've seen him get dropped. We've seen him get back up against Klitschko. So I give him credit for that. But when he was in there with a smaller guy who had really nothing to lose, like an Andy Ruiz, man, he got up and he kind of quit in that fight. So you just can't teach heart in this business. So if he's gonna, get in touch with his heart and connect those fundamentals that Derrick James is going to, apply, we'll see. He might win. And here's the thing: even if he doesn't, we can't, throw shots at James and say he didn't do his part as a trainer, because sometimes it takes multiple fights for fighters and trainers to kind of, put that glue together instead of just watching one fight. Look at Tim Bradley. When he got with Teddy Atlas, he looked good in his first fight with him. And then that second fight, it was like, Amir Khan, he got with Virgil Hunter. Looked good in his first fight. And after that, it was like, So these things happen. It takes time sometimes for fighters and trainers to gel and kind of get to know each other. But we'll see. We'll see, man.
Yeah, my thoughts on it, man, is that I'm perplexed about AJ. I saw him get up against a bigger puncher in Klitschko, and he was dead ass tired versus Klitschko. So he has heart. He has some heart. He appeared to quit against Ruiz. And so that's where it's like, well, damn, does he have heart or does he not? I don't know if he was in La La Land or in some zone against Ruiz where he just couldn't come out of it. But I'm going to say there's some level of grit in AJ. But even if there is not, and I always go back to Lennox Lewis, I feel like Lennox Lewis and AJ are comparable. And a lot of people feel like Lennox Lewis didn't have a whole lot of heart, even though I think he might have been called, I think his nickname was the Lion or something like that. I think his heart was questionable as well. Not necessarily like heartless, but sometimes he just seems to not really have that grit. And maybe it was just because of his background. Maybe it's because he spoke with an English accent. I don't know, but he seemed to not have it. Now we know that Emmanuel Stewart was able to minimize the weaknesses and accentuate the strengths of Lennox Lewis. Can DJ do the same thing? I think that's all he needs to do. If he can get him to fight in a manner that will, help him to maximize his strengths and minimize his weaknesses, then DJ has done an amazing job. And I think AJ can be an amazing fighter, but we have to see if he'll follow those instructions. So that's the way I kind of see it.
Good point. Oh, and I have to say this from a business perspective. This is going to be a huge payday for Jermaine. So shout out to him.
Yeah, man.
This is chance.
Absolutely.
This is chance to be Andy Ruiz.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, not exactly Andy Ruiz because Andy got a title for it, but I get your point. The last topic we have before we open up the phone lines is Bernard Hopkins, Golden Boy Promotions. We're back on them. So Bill Haney says that that B-Hop is basically Steven from, so it's called Django, but I like to call it the Django. So I'm gonna call it the Django. Steve, whatever his name was from Django.
Steven.
And so, I don't feel that Bernard Hopkins is like this ass kissing guy that's just going around here and just kissing ass to, whomever, the man. I think it's more so about making comments that align to his interests. He is aligned to Golden Boy and he is aligned to Oscar De La Hoya. Therefore, he's going to make comments that are aligned to those interests as well as his pockets. And so he does not speak highly of any PBC fighters. He does not speak highly of most fighters that are not associated with Golden Boy, maybe outside of Terence Crawford, but they want to sign him. So there's a reason for that. So, I mean, I don't think now, he's aligning to his best interest. I don't think he's like a Tim Bradley. Tim Bradley he's out there, guys. He's something else. Tim Bradley is the most ass kissing this motherfucker I've ever seen in my life. And all he does, man, is just let me. I'm not gonna say that because this is a professional kid-oriented show. So I'm gonna pass it to you very quickly, Marty. What are your thoughts on that?
I would like to say that Devin Haney's father, Bill Haney, can be very, very critical. Sometimes he can talk too fast and, it can be a little bit boisterous and a little bit borderline disrespectful. I've seen a little interview he did. It was a small clip with Calvin Ford, Tank Davis' trainer, so he can be very critical. I think he's overshooting his load on this one. A little bit small, a little reach. To each his own. We all men. We all have our perspective. I think that comparison was a little bit too critical. I don't think Bernard is like the character on Django. But I will say in Bernard's case, and I agree with you wholeheartedly, Greg, he's a corporate guy. I mean, he's representing his partnership in an organization that promotes fighters. Now, he don't always promote other people's fighters, and it's not his responsibility to, and I wouldn't expect him to. But at the same time, I think the best thing that promoters should do when they're asked about other fighters is just to give a small little sentence and then back out of the parking space. Because if you keep going on and on, it'll sound like you're hating on the fighters and not encouraging them. And I think that's where, Bill Haney was speaking from. I think he was reaching a little bit with the Django comparison. But to understand the fact that this was his son, Bill Haney's son, that he was basically, protecting and taking up for, understandably so. That is his son. But at some point, as men, and I hate to use race because I'm not a race type of guy. But at some point, as men and African Americans, we can't go through social media to keep doing this conflict. Like once it's one thing, you say your part, I say my piece, it's over. Don't let this thing keep dragging out too long. You know what I mean? And don't be disrespectful with each other. We don't have to agree on everything, but don't insult each other as men. You know what I mean? That's not a racial thing. That's just as men. You don't have to insult each other just because you don't agree. So I think on both parties, they both could have made certain adjustments, but I understand both parties. I understand.
Absolutely. All right, man. It's
Yeah.
about that time. So before we get to it, though, we got 100 likes, but we got 145 people in the building. If you haven't had the opportunity, please hit the like button. And if you don't like the content, hit the dislike button, but always make sure that you are engaging with the content. And there is an icon in the lower right-hand corner of the screen. It's the subscribe button. Subscribe to the channel. Jason and I are dropping content on a daily basis, sometimes 1, 2, 3, 4 videos. It can be a documentary. It can just be coverage of the boxing game. It can be a breakdown of the fights. But we are always dropping content. And while you're at it, go subscribe to Manager Marty. Go subscribe to The Boxing Source. Go subscribe to the Mic Check Podcast. Go subscribe to Chicken Talk. Those are all our affiliates, if you will. We are associated with these folks. We are all putting out great content. We bring it from a different perspective, but we are all interconnected. So please go subscribe to those channels as well. All right, man, it's phone line time. Let me go ahead and bring up the phone line, and then we will also drop that in the chat and pin it. So let me grab that here quickly. Yeah, Marty, we get some interesting folks calling in, man. It's a good time. Sometimes people agree with us, sometimes they don't. But it's definitely always a good time.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Hopefully it's not like last week.
Last week was interesting. Last week was interesting.
It was funny though. It was fun though.
No, it was. Even though we didn't agree with the gentleman, it was a good time. I mean, we had 2 people call in that had some very different perspectives.
Yeah, and they moved the goalpost like from here to there to there to there.
Of course.
Over and over and over again.
Oh,
we got somebody calling in, Jay. Hold on.
All right.
This might be the guy from last week. You are on the Angry Man Podcast with Jason and Greg. What's going on with you, man? Who we got in the building?
Hey, what's going on? It's Tunnel Vision. How y'all doing?
Oh,
what's going on, Tunnel Vision?
In the building. What's up, bro? Tunnel Vision is one of our guys, Manager Marty. Very insightful guy, knows a lot about boxing. Tunnel, what's going on with you, man?
Yeah, not too much. Yeah, my bad, man. When you had sent me, put on the thing about the message I thought that you were talking about was about me calling in about the what was going on with like Showtime and PBC financially. I didn't know that you had sent a message about looking at that video. So my bad on that one.
Oh, you good. You
that
good.
one I didn't get that one.
Good.
But anyway, I mean, just a couple of things. I mean, the first one I would say is, as far as like Bill Haney is concerned, I mean, I understand that you can have, I guess your opinions on people, but at the same time, I think you also have to look at kind of like where you're at before you do that. Yep. Like especially if you're somebody who was you used to work with Al Heyman. I mean, not Al Heyman. You used to, be with Mayweather Promotions on a regular basis, where Mayweather was pretty much on different shows and everything, putting that light and that shine on your son. And then after that, you were working with Showtime, pretty much kind of like almost like the, Al Heyman PBC kind of thing going on. And you're kind of building a brand through that. And you decided to jump to, Eddie Hearn with the company who they were talking about, comparing coming to the United States with the zone, with the boxing, the same with the transatlantic, whole slavery trade thing. These are the same people who his father sat there and was talking about how, hey, we used to, we basically had full control of these guys. They were basically slaves. We were slave traders. I mean, these are the guys that you're working with. And then you flow from working with them to going to a company who has that NABF, no black fighters list. The same company where multiple fighters have sued them, including Terence Crawford, I guess, for racial discrimination when it comes to the workplace.
Right.
These are the people that you're deciding to work with. So I don't think that he's in a space or in a place where he can talk about somebody being, quote, a Django or whatever. I mean, at the end of the day, do what you got to do for your money. But at the same time, you got to watch the place that you're sitting in before making certain comments. Like as far as Bernard Hopkins, boxing wise, great, incredible guy. But business wise, the people he's choosing to work with, not a fan of it whatsoever. But at the same time, you can't make the moves. And personally, that's what I believe. You can't make the moves that he himself has made and then turn around and then call somebody else something like that. Because you basically have been turning your back kind of on that black promoter that's done great for people, trying to go against the grain. We've seen who's everybody talking about? Fighting Tank. People talking about fighting Spence. People talking about fighting Wilder. People always talking about the Charlos. Who are all these people with? There were PBC. There was Al Heyman. These are people that you left. So just because of the moves that they've made, as far as the people that they deal with, I don't believe they're in the space to say something like that.
I think that's a fair point. I think that's a great point, actually. And I think when you just look at Bernard Hopkins in general, man, I mean, to your point, I'm not a fan. I would have loved to have seen him work with, because Bernard always felt like he was, pro-African American, trying to figure out ways to empower African Americans within the sport. So it would have been, a good look for him to work with the PBC. But he's working with Golden Boy Promotions. I don't particularly like that either. But at the end of the day, it's your choice. You got to go and make the coins that you can make. But to your point, always be cognizant of where you are at, what space you're in before you start making those types of comments. So I can't necessarily disagree with that. I don't know about you, Jason or Marty. I don't know your thoughts on that.
You go ahead, Manager Marty.
Well, I mean, my thoughts on it is I do understand the perspective of the caller with regards to both guys, Bill Haney and B-Hop. In other words, the position that you guys are actually in and the business that you may have done in the interim of, you guys having this little issue right now, as far as, Bill going over to Eddie Hearn and then Matchroom, and then he's now over there at Top Rank. And then of course, B-Hop always started with Oscar De La Hoya after their fight, where most people may think that Oscar De La Hoya took a dive in that fight. And then all of a sudden they became business partners. I'm not accusing anybody. I'm just telling you what the perception of it is. With those things being said, I can understand the caller's perspective, but I can't agree totally of the I think it was NABF.
NBF, no black fighter.
NBF, no black fighters. Over at Top Rank, I can't say that they're racist or not. I don't have any evidence of that, so I can't just accuse them of that. But I will say, with regards to the lawsuit that Terence Crawford filed, because I think the caller mentioned that Terence Crawford did file a federal lawsuit, but it was dropped federally, but he still did not pursue it in the state of Nebraska. So technically, there is no lawsuit pending with regards to that. But other than that, I totally agree about the perspective. And, like the caller said, you can't call the, pot, what is it? Don't call the pot black and the kettle, all that kind of, that little
it's like
saying,
the pot
right?
calling the kettle black.
Like, there you go, like the pot calling the kettle black. And it's like, both of you guys, if you want to take it onto a African-American perspective, both of you guys have reached great heights in this business thus far. Of course, Bernard kind of, competed. So he is a Hall of Famer. So you got to give him credit for that. And then Bill Haney is still getting his feet wet as the businessman as well. But see, what happens is when you put a microphone and a camera in certain people's faces, sometimes they don't have the ethics to support what they're saying, and then they can just start talking because they want to be right. And both of those guys give me the perception that they always want to be right. B-Hop, and so does Bill Haney. And so these guys got to work on, making sure they think before they speak. And it's not about being right. You know, if you don't know something, you don't know, but you do not have to insult anyone, regardless of their race, if you don't agree with them. And I'm standing on that. So good perspective from the caller.
I agree
Hey,
with that.
Tunnel, anything else you want to share before we move to the next caller? Go ahead, Jay. I'm sorry.
No, I just think that, you know, like Martin said, be respectful. You know, I don't think everything needs to be out in the public eye. Everything needs to be a tweet. Everything needs to be an interview. Now, I do feel like if you come at me in public, you need to handle that in public in a certain way between me and you. You know, because don't do it in private and do something else in public. You know, it got to be even, but it still can be done in a respectful manner. That's all.
All right, Tony. Anything else you want to share, bro?
Yeah, just one last thing, and I'm out of here. I'm gonna say, you know, I'm a PBC and Showtime. Al Heyman. They need to stop doing business the way they're doing it. When it comes to certain things, like when it comes to like, if you look at the whole thing with the Ryan Garcia and the whole Tank situation, how you know you negotiate, you get to a point where you've agreed on everything. Even Oscar De La Hoya said we've agreed to all terms. You know, we're ready to go. You give them that final contract. Then when you give them the final contract, all of a sudden at the last hour, they want to make changes. You know, then again, you make certain changes that they wanted, and then they're coming at you with more changes. We've kind of seen this blueprint before when it came to Terence Crawford. It was the same type of thing. You know, when you think that the deal is done, and then all of a sudden, things pop up again, and all of a sudden they got something new, and then something new, and then something new. And then they allow things to continue dragging on. You're the ASON, you know. At some point, now it's almost like now they have a it's like a blueprint that people have out there where they understand we can do this now with the PBC. We can go out there, we can play with them, even, you know, act with our fighters if we want to do the fight. And then at the last minute, just jump out, try to make it be as if it's their fault, and then move on. And then in the meantime, the schedule gets held up, you know, and a lot of the fights that we want to see don't get made, you know, or get extended out. And the reality is most of the major fights that we want to see are actually the PBC fights. When they don't have fights going on, it's like there's this lull in boxing where you're kind of just sitting there because most of these other, you know, people put out pretty much just trash events. That's just the reality of it. Most events that the Zone puts out, Top Rank puts out, they're not really interesting like that. So I think they need to start getting more strict as far as, okay, we negotiate, we get to a certain point. Hey, are we going to do this or not? You're either in this or you're not, and then move on. But stop holding things back. Like I remember on Chicken Talk, you know, Espinoza comes on and he's sitting there saying, hey, you know, yeah, if that's the only thing, then that's great. Then that's great. Which, you know, basically saying these people have a whole list of things. I think it was like 13 different things that they wanted after they thought the deal was already done. Right. So you're allowing them to play with you. So it's kind of, I think it's irritating to me that you're the one in the position of power, and you're continuously now having a pattern of letting people play around with you like that. You know, when it gets to a point where it kind of becomes clear that they're not really serious about setting up a fight. So I think they need to set up something, or if these fighters want to stay, you know, fast, as far as, no, I want to stay in negotiation with them, don't hold up the schedule. Let the schedule continue, and then whenever they fall, they fall. And these are, because at the end of the day, we're the consumers that are paying for Showtime, you know, and we're paying for a product. And he said it before, hey, they know there's a huge subscriber base that pays for boxing, and that's what they have Showtime for, and that's why they invest so much in boxing. So as the consumer, stop playing with us. You know, if there's certain fighters want to do that and be stupid, if Errol Spence wants to be an idiot and keep riding on with Terence Crawford, or Tank wants to be an idiot and keep riding on with Ryan Garcia, and they keep pushing things off over and over and over again, let the rest of the schedule roll. Then whenever these two fall, they fall. But if Espinosa's listening, if anybody's that talks to him, make that clear to him. Stop. At this point, it's a pattern. And me personally, I think, especially if the Ryan fight doesn't work out, they're going to start looking like idiots at this point. You're somebody in a position of power that's allowing yourself to be played around with. And I think they need to stop doing that.
Hey, that's a great point, Tono. I appreciate you articulating that point to the broader audience, man. We're gonna get it. We're gonna go ahead and move on to the next caller. But man, I appreciate you calling in, man. Always a good talk.
Let's go, Kelly.
All right, later. Hey, you are on the Angry Man podcast with Jason and Greg. We're going to have to try to start limiting these to about 3 to 5 minutes so we can get everybody in. But go ahead, man. Who we got on the line?
It's Lefty, Chicken Talk.
Chicken Talk, what's going
Chicken
on?
Talk, what's happening, my man?
Got a little more time for you. What's good, man?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah.
Okay. No, I heard you say you hope I call in early, but I just want to touch on what my man said right before I called in. The only two people that played really is Oscar and Terence Crawford. You know, you got like Fury Wilder got done, Inoue versus Fulton got done, Boyd versus McGregor got done. You know, it's only been two people that's really been that does this type of stuff.
Right.
So I don't think it's I don't think it's a lot of people that want to fight get the fight done. Period.
Right. Right. Hey man, any update or anything else you've heard about Ryan and Tank?
Nope. As much as y'all heard is just that it was sent over with the rematch clause straightened out, and hopefully they'll announce it this week. Hopefully by Tuesday.
So when you say straighten out, you
they
mean
usually not announce the schedule
send it
on
back
Tuesday.
over to Espinosa and team, send it back over to Oscar and those guys.
Yeah, that was the last thing I heard.
Okay.
The same thing. Spence versus Thurman, that should be announced soon. Wilder will be announced. We might get 3 pay-per-views in March with Canelo, Spence, and Devin Haney. And 2 of those might be back-to-back.
Yeah, I know there's a date that's been floated out there for the Spence Thurman fight. So I heard that it was May. Actually heard from you that it would be in May. So that'll be interesting to see who you know, I'm gonna watch all of them, but you know, some people will have to choose, I guess.
I ain't watching that Canelo Ryder fight.
He will.
We knew that fight was coming a year ago. So.
Yep. Right.
I don't know. I check it out, but I ain't really too worried about it. I'm more worried about this David Benavidez versus Caleb Plant, because after Benavidez win, then we'll get people calling for Canelo to fight him instead of fighting Bivol.
Yeah, I got Benavidez as well, but there's a lot of people that believe that Plant can outbox him.
Yeah. There's a reason he wants that 22 by 22 ring in Vegas. He's just trying to delay the inevitable.
Facts.
That's all that is. Instead of Benavidez by stoppage in 6, it might be in 9 or 10. That's just a delay of the inevitable.
Yeah, I think eventually Benavidez is gonna catch up with him, man, and get him up out of there.
Oh yeah. And Manager Marty, I watched your interview with Rachel Donaire. That was a very good, very insightful interview with him, and I check out a lot of your content. You get a lot of very good content.
Thank you very much, Chicken Talk. And I got to go on your channel and check your content out too, man. Heard some great things about you. So salute to you, man. Yeah,
we all working. We trying to get it together. But that's about all that I got. I know you called for updates. I don't really have anything new. If I do have something new, I'll DM you and let you know if you can put it on the show or not. But that's really about it. I do know Wilder is in June. Earl is in late May.
Yep.
Haney, they almost got it over the line. But did you see that Fury versus Usyk? They're saying that might not happen.
I hadn't heard that.
Yeah, that's what Crawford just said on Max on Boxing yesterday. Well, 2 days ago, he said it may. They're still trying to go April 29th, but it may not happen.
Okay. I did hear Mike Coppinger. Coppinger.
Yeah,
I heard him say that. Yeah.
He talking about Earl, PBC, and Bud is negotiating in the background, and they might scrap the fight and go. But bro, they already got the date. Yeah. They just hadn't released it because they wanted to release it with Thurman with the Ryan versus Tank news. They're trying to release it all together. But even if Ryan versus Tank don't get done, they're just gonna put the schedule out there anyway.
Yeah, we were speculating on whether or not that was happening. You straightened us out very quickly on that one, so that was spot on.
Yeah.
And then the Wilder situation. He said Wilder's reaching out because he's unhappy with the promotions, and he wants to make some money. Wilder already has a date too. He's gonna be on Fox. I don't even understand. Coppinger, he's just so bitter that he's banned from PBC events that he just say anything. Now I do know if somebody at the network talks to him, but Wilder's on Fox, so and ain't nobody at Fox talking to him. So I don't even understand how where is he coming up with this about Wilder? It could be no further from the truth.
Was it Coppinger or was it Benson, Jay, that said that?
Which one?
About
Wilder.
Yeah.
I want to say it was Benson. I could be wrong though. Let me see if I can find that.
You said it was who?
I want to say it was Benson.
I think Coppinger said something about Wilder in that same segment. I think.
Yeah, it was Benson.
In the same interview, he talked about they talked about Ryan versus Tank. Then they talked about Fury versus Usyk. Then they talked about Wilder.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
Yeah, you white chickens out.
That's where he's getting all that
from
that's
Coppinger.
Yep.
Yeah, Mike Benson got it from Coppinger. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Got it. Okay, that makes sense.
It's all in that latest Max on Boxing interview.
Gotcha.
If y'all want to watch that. What's funny about Max is another one. He sitting up here talking about PBC is blocking a Ryan Tank fight. They don't want the fight to happen. Then when he gets to talking about how Fury Usyk might not happen, then he's taking it easy on them.
Yeah.
He's another one.
He's absolutely another one. Absolutely. Yeah. Chicken, anything else you want to share with the people?
No, that's about it, man.
Hey man, y'all go fight. Hey, what's your name?
Betting show, we hit on all the bets yesterday. You went 5 for 5. If y'all check out the betting show out there with Grateful Boxer last Friday.
Gotcha. Share your Twitter handle, man, because your spaces be on fire. And also, Chicken Talk is your name here on YouTube. Yeah. You guys need to follow.
Yeah, on Twitter it's Lazy Lefty OG. Lazy Lefty OG. Every Saturday morning at 11 a.m. Eastern, I do a boxing news and wrap up with Jake Donovan, editor manager of Boxing Team, and we talk about the boxing news. We also have a Q&A section with fans come in and ask any question about boxing.
Absolutely, man.
Gary Antoine Russell tidbit about why he's not fighting Pollo, why Riley got to fight. So it's a lot. That's also up on my channel. It's a lot of little tidbits, and anybody can participate. When I do interviews, anybody can participate. Ask your own questions.
Perfect.
It's a fire space to be in, y'all. Y'all need to check that out.
Yeah, it's fire.
Yep.
Straight up.
All right.
Appreciate it, bro.
I appreciate it.
Yep.
All right, later. That was Chicken Talk, man. Go subscribe. Hey, we got 164 people in the building, 125 likes. You get the opportunity to hit that like button and also subscribe to the channel. Mic Check Podcast, The Boxing Voice, Manager Marty, and Chicken Talk. And we got somebody else calling in, so I had to get it out there quickly. This is the Angry Man Podcast with Jason and Greg. You are on live. Who do I have the pleasure of speaking to?
This is the Boxing Source. What's good?
Man, what's good with you, man?
What's up?
All good, man. All good, man. Just cooking here with the show, man. You know what I'm saying? So you got man Marty up in the building. It was good, man.
Salute, brother. How you, man?
All good, all good. Hey, man, y'all be sure to check out Manager Marty's latest video on the joint with Tank and Ryan and how the Crawford thing tie into it. So it's a good little video we got on that. But yeah, this whole thing, man, of Tank and Ryan, I think they just, playing it out, man. I think the fight's gonna happen. As far as like April though, I'm not sure about that. We got probably like a good amount of time that they're going to promote, but I still feel like it's going to happen. It's like Lefty be saying in the spaces for Chicken Talk, man, it's too big to fail. So like you got it right now, so you might as well run with it right now. You know what I mean? And I think it's more of Oscar that's like trying to push the fight back to Ryan, because we've had like clashes between Ryan and Oscar before. You know what I'm saying? And that's how the joint with like when Canelo was with Golden Boy, they had clashes and Canelo ended up leaving them. So they're like, nah, man, you might as well go ahead and have this fight, happen. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I don't think it'll be something to where like if Ryan loses, it's like it's all over for Golden Boy. They don't really have that much of a roster anyway. So I mean,
all facts.
I got a question for you, Boxing Source JR. On one of your videos, what's the deal with Gary Antoine Russell with talking about fighting Boots at a catch weight? What's the deal with that?
I mean, that's like him, talking this talk. You know what I'm saying? But it's like he was saying. You check out the full interviews on the channel. He wants to, handle business at 140. He really wants to fight Regis next. That's the fight that he wants next is Regis Prograis. And the thing about it is like I don't see why that fight can't happen right now, since you got Jose Carlos Ramirez not fighting Regis Prograis, who wants to fight Richard Comey. You got Teofimo Lopez talking about he want to fight Josh Taylor, as like Manager Marty says, like two ducks flapping around in the pond or something like that. You know what I'm saying? So you got Gary Antoine Russell right there at number 3 in the WBC. Why not go ahead and have that fight? You know what I'm saying?
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Y'all definitely check the boxing source out.
Yeah, but the way I'm hearing it, it's like they trying to have Regis out there fighting somebody else in Louisiana, but that's the rumor that I pretty much heard. Yeah. So I don't know, man.
Now give me that Gary Antoine Russell or give me Jack Catterall. I'd be happy with either one of those two.
That's be a good fight.
Absolutely.
Either one of them. But it looks like Jack Catterall just holding the proverbial bag, man. Josh Taylor was like, "Nah, man, I ain't gonna fight him again." So that's how that goes, man. But outside of that, man, y'all been doing y'all thing, so y'all keep cooking.
All right, man. Appreciate it, man. Y'all go subscribe to the Boxing Source. He is always dropping great content as well.
All right, for sure. Peace out.
All right, later.
Phone lines is hot, baby.
You're on fire, man. You are on the Angry Man podcast with Jason and Greg and Manager Marty today. Who do we got in the building?
Hey, this is Mr. Pragmatic.
Mr. Pragmatic.
What's going on,
man?
Oh yeah, I just wanted to tell you guys I'm so happy. I was looking at television, waiting for the Super Bowl, and I said, well, let me see what's going on in boxing, seeing if there's going to be any talk. And then I look and I see Jason and Greg, and I see Marty, and I'm like, oh my God, I have got to tune in. So I just wanted you guys to know that you're like some of the best content creators on YouTube. And it's a pleasure for me to listen to your channels. I love joining great boxing channels because I love to hear common sense, logical, and thoughtful boxing commentary. Not just, oh, you a fanboy. You just a fanboy. I can't stand that. So I love what you guys bring to the YouTube boxing space, and just keep up the good work. And Marty, I wanted you to know that I wanted to click in on your channel on Friday, but the link disappeared. And now I don't know anything about YouTube, but I think you have to pin it to the top so that people can see the link all the time. So that's all I got for you guys. I just wanted to tell you, thank you for what you do. And I appreciate it.
Man, we appreciate you too, Mr. Pragmatic. And I know you've I mentioned you earlier in the I guess we'll call it broadcast or in the stream. And you were the reason why I found Manager Marty, because I hadn't heard of Manager Marty yet. And so I strolled over to Manager Marty's channel and checked out some of his content and reached out to him, and he reciprocated, and that's how we all connected. So it's been good.
It's crazy because when I first saw Marty, I saw YouTube Shorts, and I'm like, this guy called himself Manager Marty. You don't know nothing about no manager. Then I actually listened to his content, and I was hooked ever since. I think I got started with Marty like from the very, very beginning. I couldn't wait for him to have a join button. Jason and Greg, you guys need a join button so I can join your channel, so I can make sure there's good boxing content all the time. So that's all I wanted. I don't have anything negative to say. The only thing I want to say is you guys are great at what you do. That thing you did with Crawford and Spence, man, that was like television material good. That was so good. It was, my wife even enjoyed it. She watched it and she was like, what are you watching? Like 48 hours? I was like, believe it or not, this is YouTube.
Masterpiece.
These guys are from YouTube. So
I appreciate that, man. I really do.
Salute, Mr. Pragmatic, man. You've always been you one of my day ones, man. You know, so I want to tell you right now, live and living color, I appreciate you, man. I don't smoke. I don't know if you smoke, but I got to send you a box of cigars, brother, because you've been supporting the channel, my brother. Thank you so much. Appreciate you, man.
Well, I don't smoke, Marty. I tell you, my guilty pleasure is Rolos. So if you want to send me a box of Rolos, we good. Or hey, you guys have a 401 area code. Jason and Greg, if you're in the Metro Atlanta area, you need to come out and play around the golf with me.
I'm in the Metro Atlanta area, and I certainly play golf. So you need to hit me up. Absolutely. I stay in Johns Creek.
I live at I don't know if I should say where I live on the air, but I live on a golf
Mr. Pragmatic.
Hey,
you live on a golf course? Let me ask you a question. Is it off of Old Alabama?
No, I know which one you're talking about. Okay, maybe you can Google this later. It's near the golf course I live on is near Loganville.
Okay. I live on the golf course as well. So yeah, we gonna connect.
Hey, Mr. Pragmatic, Mr. Pragmatic, if you can shoot me an email. The email is right on my channel. Shoot me an email, man. I'll make sure you get anything you want, man. And I got family and friends. I'm tied all the way in Atlanta, all the way down to Marietta, Georgia, man. So I'm
Marty,
always in Atlanta. Huh?
I was thinking, I was like, I don't know Marty, but he said on one of his shows that he was going to be coming to Atlanta for Adrian Broner fight. I'm like, he could stay at my house. You don't have to go to a hotel. Stay at my house. After the fight, next day we can go play around the golf, have some fun. I love golf, by the way.
Same here, man. Same. I suck at it, but I love it.
I suck at it too, Greg, but I can't. I could not stop playing. I can't. So I appreciate you guys. Thank you for taking my call.
Oh man, same here. Appreciate it. Man. Have a good one.
Salute, my brother.
Hey, reach out. Send me an email, man. We'll connect.
I will, Greg. I will. All right.
All right. Bye. Later. All right, man. That was Mr. Pragmatic. Man, the phone lines are jumping today, man. Yeah, we got another one coming in, Marty. This is how we roll, man. This is how we roll. You are on the Angry Man podcast with Jason and Greg, and for today, Marty as well. Who do we got in the building?
Oh man, Mr. One Mo, man, out of ACL Mo. You know what I'm saying?
What's going on with you?
Oh man, just outside with the rake, man, trying to get some stuff done, listening to y'all.
Oh, gotcha. Cool.
Yeah, man. Hey, I just wanted to get y'all view on something, man.
Yep.
And it's really been bothering me. I want to know what y'all think of, or have y'all thought about the fact that this is kind of like off topic, but to me it seems like, well, I've noticed, and not seems like I've noticed that Tank got a problem with I hate to say Devin in particular, but it seems to me like he has a problem talking about Devin, but he has all the time in the world for Ryan Garcia. Like, I heard him say a couple times, I want to talk about Devin because it's going to promote him. But every time somebody brings up Ryan Garcia, he get a smile on his face like a little Cheshire cat. And he got all the time in the world. He got time to talk about this and that and that and this. But it seems like a black fighter is always the issue with it.
So we're talking about, you feel like Tank has an issue in terms of like speaking on like a Devin Haney or other African-American fighters, but he has energy for someone like Ryan Garcia.
And Ryan Garcia, like anybody who's not black, to be honest with you.
Yeah. So so in my opinion, I think Tank. So I just feel like Tank, the way that he was moved in a specific way. And I think now that he isn't with Mayweather Promotion anymore, I think you're going to see him fight a host of different people. So I think Tank is a straight up guy. I think he says what he means and he means what he says. And he's already said that he wants to fight Ryan Garcia. He wanted to get 2 3 fights in this year, but we know that's not going to happen. But he said after that, man, the guys that he want, or at least that are on his list, are Devin Haney and Shakur Stevenson. So I got to take him at his word. He hasn't done anything that would make me believe that he won't fight them. But I do believe that he, the reason why he might address Devin Haney in the way that he does is because Devin Haney puts himself out there as the man at 135 pounds. I believe that Tank feels like he's the man at 135 pounds, and it depends on what lens you're looking through. If you're looking through the lens of the champion makes you the man, then you believe Devin Haney is the man. If you're looking through the lens of the cat that puts all the cheeks in seats, then of course Tank Davis is the man. So I think I think he speaks in a way that he lets this guy knows that he's the top dog in the division. I don't think it has anything to do with necessarily like him moving away or not having energy for him.
I mean, well, I hear that. Okay, like you said, I'm gonna take him as his word, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I've heard him say that he's gonna fight Dev after he finished Kambosos, and then it seemed like when he got done with Kambosos, he got quiet, and like I don't know, man. Like to me, I like you. I take people for what they say, and Tank is everywhere with me, man. And nothing he said is solid. I don't take personally. I'm a fan of him fighting, but as a like taking what he said, I don't take nothing he says serious. And I have heard Devin say personally. I mean not personally, but I've heard him say a couple times that Tank is the A side in that fight.
Mm-hmm. Okay. We'll see what ends up.
He needs to take less money and all that.
We'll see what ends up happening because I truly believe that if Devin Haney stays at 135 pounds, he's only staying there to fight Tank Davis. That's my personal opinion. Okay. And so I believe Tank has said that he's going to make that fight. So if he gets past Ryan Garcia, if the fight doesn't happen at that point, then we can start having that discussion on whether or not, Tank is not a man of his word. But for right now, I believe that they're on a collision course. And I think if both of those men get through their opponents this spring, then my expectation is in the fall, we'll end up seeing these guys fight. That's my thought. But Jason and Marty, I'm going to pass it to you guys real quick. What are your thoughts on what the caller's saying?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with them as far as like linking up later on, because we already knew Devin was tied up for 3 fights once he signed that contract to fight Kambosos to begin with. So, I mean, afterwards, it's just a bunch of talking back and forth on Twitter and everything. So I think once they're done with Ryan for Tank and Devin gets past Loma, I think that's the next fight for Devin and Tank, honestly, and then Shakur for Tank after that, possibly.
Yeah, I totally agree. I totally agree with Jason. Totally agree with Greg. And just to put both perspectives in the pot and stir it up, you look at how Tank Davis was moved. Very eloquently alluded to by Greg. If you look at how he was moved, and I always allude to this, comparing him to like an Adrian Broner and even the Terence Crawford, they have been moved through their resume to not compete against African-American fighters because from a business standpoint, they fight people that have basically a representation of another country, and that's how they maximize their earning potential. And so I think Tank recognized that he'll make more money fighting a Ryan Garcia with a country on his back and a following than he would make with a Devin Haney. But like Jason and Greg said, hopefully sometime this year, if he fights Ryan, the next fight should be Devin Haney. So, or Shakur Stevenson, but it's more likely to be like a Devin Haney than the Shakur. But I don't think race plays a part in it, me personally. But it's all about their bad blood because they did spar each other. And so I think Tank is coming from a standpoint of, I'm not going to give him no publicity right now. But they do have that little bad blood with the sparring aspect of it. I mean, most fighters shouldn't take it personal, but some fighters do. But other than that, we shall see.
I mean, okay, can I ask you one more question?
Yeah.
What makes you think that Ryan Garcia will generate more money than Devin Haney?
Fan base.
I mean, he's a more market. I mean, he's a social media star. So yeah,
social
fight
media had nothing to do with ratings or budget. Devin has always sold more than Ryan Garcia.
Yeah, but when you combine the fact that you have someone that has a popularity and a base, because I don't believe Ryan Garcia has ever been on pay-per-view, so it's hard for me to know whether or not. I don't think Devin Haney has been on pay-per-view either, so I don't know how we can say that one outsells the other one at this point. But the only thing I'll say to that is that Espinoza was on Chicken Talk's Spaces, and honestly, he thought that it could do 700,000 buys, and I mean those are terrific numbers. I didn't even think that was even possible, and if it can do 750, those are great numbers, dude. And I don't think Devin Haney versus Tank Davis will do those kind of numbers.
And I would say to you, I would say, I would say to you, caller, that the reason why I said that, and I agree with Greg on this one as well, is because it's all about location. So if you take, let's say, a Ryan Garcia and a Tank Davis and go put them in the Allegiant Stadium over in Vegas on the West Coast, there's a Mexican fan base over in California and Vegas. So they're going to sell huge on pay-per-view and the live gate. Whereas though with Devin Haney, you know, he like Greg said, he hasn't been on pay-per-view, so we can't, you know, determine what his numbers will look like, because remember, just fighting on a regular network is totally different from a pay-per-view audience, right? So we have to expose him to a pay-per-view audience first to see who would outsell. But just looking at how Ryan Garcia already has a huge following on social media, not saying it will translate to pay-per-view, but it helps a whole lot when you have that big following already, because now you're tapping into an audience that goes beyond the hardcore fans. You're talking about casual boxing fans and people that don't know anything about boxing, but they'll watch it just because this YouTuber or this Instagram darling, such as a Ryan Garcia, who has aspirations of modeling. Now you're opening up a different market, a different type of audience, you know, so you got to include all of that in the pot and even have the right location. Whereas though with Devin Haney, you know, we know that he's good over in the West Coast. We don't know how he sell over in the East Coast. We don't know how he sell down South. And Tank Davis, you can take him on the West Coast, the East Coast, and down South, and he's already proven that he knows how to sell. And so when you look at those elements, you know, and you compare both between Ryan Garcia, who has an entire country on his back, and we already know how African Americans versus Mexican, that always have that great appeal to be able to make massive money, you know what I mean, compared to African American versus African American in America. And so, especially when Devin Haney doesn't have the amount of following that a Ryan Garcia has, and that's basically why I would say that it would be a bigger.
Okay, well, two things. Devin Haney has been on pay-per-view, and Ryan has not. And B, Devin Haney has a fan base. Now, Devin Haney, I hate to keep saying my whole name. Devin, he can bring something that Ryan can't. A chance for a Tank to be undisputed. Now, I don't know. I don't know if the fact that Ryan's Mexican, so that just automatically makes people believe that that Ryan is tied into the Mexican fan base. But his sales in California have not proven that. He has done absolutely nothing by himself. And those seats that he sold last time over there, those were not his sales. Those was Alexis Rocha's sales. Alexis Rocha sells more than Ryan Garcia. So why don't Tank just fight him instead of Ryan? Because it's proven Ryan don't sell, Alexis do. He will get something with Devin Haney, but not with Ryan Garcia. And I'm gonna say this right here. I don't know why people keep on giving Ryan this pass on not making weight. His last 2 or 3 fights. One time he blamed it on the other guy, said he wanted to raise the weight. The other time he had to get butt naked, and another time he's like okay, we can use it as a catch weight. Why do people keep giving Ryan all these passes and I'm just not understanding it.
So
but
let me
to one thing, real quick, Greg, real quick. One thing about Devin though, his biggest fights have been where? In Australia. He wasn't the lead dog on that.
And
was. Though.
Where has Ryan's been?
In the States.
Where?
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. Like
in California.
I say that neither one of them have been on pay-per-view, like leading the pay-per-view. I didn't count Australia because Australia is all about George Kambosos.
Right.
And
It don't matter. Devin was a part of it.
I totally get that, but you still got to be the one that's driving the sales, man. I mean, you just can't can't just claim the sales.
Okay, that being said, then Ryan Garcia can't claim the sales on that last fight that he had with Alexis Rocha on the card, because before that, those two fighting before those two fights on the same card.
So let me ask you a question.
Did absolutely nothing by himself. Alexis Rocha outsold him.
So let me ask you a question. So excluding George Kambosos, neither guy has been on pay-per-view, right? Leading the pay-per-view. So if we were to look at their last fights, Devin Haney's fight prior to George Kambosos was who? Who was it, Jay? I don't have his box.
George Kambosos? George Kambosos fought Tszyu.
No. Who was Devin Haney's fight prior to George Kambosos?
That wasn't it wasn't Gamboa.
So that was
Jojo Diaz.
Diaz.
Yeah, Jojo Diaz.
How much did Diaz how much did Devin Haney versus Diaz gross? And then compare that to what was Ryan last Fortuna? How much did that gross?
I don't know.
You got to compare those two fights, because then you'll have your answer. But sir, we got to get to the next caller, man. I appreciate you calling in. I like both fighters. I like both of them. I believe Tank will fight him in the next fight. So those are my thoughts on that, man. Anything else you want to give anybody a shout out before we move to the next caller?
Oh man, just shout out to Arkansas, man.
All right, man. Appreciate you, man. Much love to Arkansas, bro. Thank you for calling in.
All right, man.
Yes, all right, love. Hey, you're on the Angry Man podcast with Jason and Greg. Who do we got in the building?
Yo, what up, Greg? This is FSU Walt from Boston.
Man, what's going on, man? Is it the FSU?
We FSU guys. I told you that before, man.
Oh, gotcha, man. Florida State in the building, man. FSU in the building, man. Fuck Miami.
I know that hurts. Jay up in the corner. I see him.
See those ugly ass Miami helmets in his background? They ugly as shit. All right, man. What's going on, bro?
You, Manager Marty. But I heard a guy talking earlier about the Devin Haney and Tank Davis thing, right?
Yep.
And Ryan, didn't Devin Haney fight JoJo at his hometown and only sold like 3,000 tickets?
So I don't have the particulars on that. That's the reason why I was asking.
I think y'all need to look it up. For the guy who was calling in, the reason why, like, Ryan Garcia puts fans in seats. So I think his was like 12,000 to like 3,000, and Devin Haney in his own hometown.
The folks in the chat. This is why I love the folks that subscribe to the channel. They've already given us the information. So JoJo gate was 300,000. Ryan did 1.4 million. Gate gets 4.2. See, that's what I'm talking about.
That's settled.
That's what I'm talking about. Like, either one of these guys have actually, driven a pay-per-view, right? So you got to look at what they've grossed, and if these numbers are correct, it's clear.
Bill keeps giving Devin this accolades for the Kambosos fight, but they were singing songs about Kambosos. They weren't singing nothing about Devin.
Exactly.
Yeah, Devin didn't need that. They hated
Kambosos was the lead dog in that whole fight, both fights.
Absolutely.
But Mike, the reason why I'm calling in is because a guy called earlier talking about the NBF. And I agree with him in this sense that ESPN and Ring Magazine keeps blowing up the Inouye brother, right?
Yeah.
So they keep saying he's number 1 and number 2 in the world, right?
Mm-hmm.
So watch, if Cool Boy Steph whoops his ass, I guarantee ain't not one of them gonna say Cool Boy Steph is number 1 and number 2 in the world.
You're right. They won't agree with you. He might not even make the top 5, top 10 still.
They'll probably move in the top 10, but
right? I've been watching boxing all my life. Can any of y'all three tell me that whenever y'all thought Canelo Alvarez was the best fighter in boxing?
Never.
That's what I'm saying. So for me, at this age, I listen to y'all more. I wish y'all were calling the fights, because at least it would be like real things in boxing. It's like I've watched them blow up. What's the boy, Triple G? Have ever y'all thought Triple G was the best middleweight of all time?
Never.
No.
I call him Lil G.
I wouldn't have said that.
I totally agree with you.
Totally agree.
It's like boxing is kind of being like the NBA, like they're pushing like dudes like Luka and the other dude, the Joker. They're great offensive players but play no defense. But dude like Embiid, who does everything, he don't get the MVP over dude who does half.
Fair.
So
fair
to me,
point.
it's like boxing. I just been watching boxing since, you know, the great days when everybody fought everybody. Now we're getting all this stuff where you got Oscar De La Hoya. Like, you guys keep thinking this Tank fight's going to happen, but Oscar keeps moving the goalposts. So I'm saying, when have you seen Oscar De La Hoya with Ortiz, Ryan, or what's the other dude, Hamid Mugia, ever put them in a fight?
Oh, man.
That's exactly what Jason was saying earlier.
Yeah. He don't.
Exactly what Jason was saying earlier. He don't.
So
yeah, exactly.
That's his money. So for me, it's going to be hard to see it. It's like, so, but blessings to y'all, man. And thanks for the content, man. And just, you know, I'll keep listening, man.
Salute
man,
to you, bro.
Man. Thank you for calling in, bro.
Y'all have a good one. Enjoy the game this afternoon.
Same to you, bro.
Sure.
Later. Let me get this out very quickly. Tunnel Vision. Thank you, man, for the $10. Ryan's last 2 fights, 1.4 million and 1.2 million. Devin hasn't done that in his entire career combined. I think he's right on.
That kills it.
We got somebody. I think this is my guy from California calling in, man.
Adrian.
You're on the Angry Man podcast with Jason and Greg. Who we got in the building?
Adrian from LA, baby. You know.
We knew it. Here we go. We know who it is. What's up, man?
What's up, man? Hey, happy Super Bowl Sunday to you guys, to all 3 of you guys. I had to call in, man, because once I hear the word Canelo, man, you know, I'm Mexican American. That guy is a duck. Canelo, I don't want to hear nothing about Canelo, man. I'll tell you something right now. All the Mexicans I know, they tell like it is, man. Canelo don't want to fight nobody. He never wanted Charlo. He never wanted Andre. He sure as hell don't want Benavidez. So, man, anytime people say Canelo, man, that gets under my skin because don't even mention that fool would ever be in the top at any division. Hell no. I want to say 3 words to manager Marty. Roll the tape, baby. Roll the tape. But I just called to say that real quick, man, and you know, get my little 2 cents in that you guys know I'm listening in, and send a shout out to my son again, Jeremiah. And hey, man, God bless you guys all. God bless all you guys, and you guys have a real nice Sunday, man.
All right, man.
Appreciate that, Adrian. You too.
God bless you, Adrian. From LA.
All right, appreciate it, bro. All right, thank you, bro. Bye-bye.
Adrian always calls in, man.
Yeah.
I gotta start figuring out ways to save these numbers so I can see when people are calling in, so I can see their names, so I can remember them, because I don't always remember. I know the area codes, but I don't necessarily always remember who's who. But
you tell me the area code, I'm like, okay, I got an idea.
Yep. Hey, if you're in the building, you haven't had the opportunity yet to hit the like button, please do so, or hit the dislike button if you don't like the content, but I think you do. Also subscribe to the channel, because we are always dropping content on a regular basis. Jason and I, 1, 2, 3, 4 videos a day. And not only that, you'll find us in the comment section interacting with you guys. Also, while you're at it, make sure that you check out Manager Marty, one of the best content creators on YouTube relative to boxing, but also Chicken Talk, the Boxing Source, and the Mic Check podcast. Guys, those are your cues to put your link in the comment section so people can find your channel and subscribe to your great content. Shout out to Aaron H. Muhammad. Salute to the channel. Salute to Manager Marty. Appreciate it, Aaron. Appreciate it.
Salute, Aaron.
Phone lines have dropped off a little bit. Whew.
Hey, well, while the phones line dropped down, can I say this, that something that concerns me about Bill Haney and Devin Haney, right? And we've seen this in the past. We've seen how fathers of the fighters who they train, like the father's the trainer, the son, you know, is the fighter. We've seen it happen twice, and hopefully it don't happen with Bill Haney. You know, we've seen it happen with Teofimo Lopez's dad, right? Where he was saying all these things about his son and how great his son was, and then his son lost. We've seen it happen to Angel Garcia with Danny Garcia, where, you know, he was talking, you know, real high on his son, and, you know, just overly, you know, expecting that these guys, these sons, have to live up to what their dads put out there. Checks that basically the son is going to have to cash, and then we saw him lose. And we hope this don't happen with Bill and Devin Haney. We hope this don't happen with Jose Benavidez Sr. and David, Benavidez. So I just look at how these father and son duos, they could be a good thing, they could be a bad thing as far as the expectation level, of when the father is too boisterous and he talks a little bit too highly of his son, most likely when it's premature. But at the same time, we just hope that that don't happen with Bill and Devin Haney, and of course David Benavidez. And I'm not saying that I want these guys to win every fight, and I'm going against the other opponents that they may have. I'm just saying we've seen it happen twice already, and sometimes fathers got to pull back a little bit and just let their sons do the work. And then after the work is complete, then we can celebrate, opposed to the work not being done yet. And then you're putting all these unrealistic expectations on the son and more pressure, and it can be hard for the fighter.
Totally agree for that.
Great point.
Yeah.
Great point. Hey, we got YSM Sports Media in the building.
Oh, salute to my
what's
guy,
going on,
YSM.
Man? YSM, man. I follow their channel all the time as well, man. They drop excellent content.
Great content, interviews.
We got somebody else calling in, man. Oh, this is my boy. You're on the Angry Man podcast with Jason and Greg. I think I know who this is, but go ahead and let the folks know who's in the building.
Yeah, man, this is Randy, man. I hit the wrong number, and I looked down and realized I had dialed the wrong number. I was just tapping in, man, let you know I'm listening to you. Usually when I get out of church, I end up going to sleep for some crazy reason. So my wife just let me tap in. That Jason sound like you too, Jason, huh? But I was just tapping in, man, let you know I was listening, and just touch on Devin and Tank. Seemed like that's the topic. For one, I think Tank don't really care about fighting Devin. I wouldn't say that he's scared or anything like that, but I think he don't want belts because it put a target on his back. He can move around freely without belts. But then if you get belts, then you got certain demands that are made of you that you got to kind of live up to. You probably don't have to, but then people start calling you a duck and all that when you got these belts, and these guys want these belts that's coming at you. So it's easier for you to say, "Nah, I don't want to fight him." Whether you can beat him or not, I'm not saying because I don't know, but I'm just saying you don't have to fight because you don't have no belt. You know what I'm saying? It's like, and then it's like, why are you coming at me? You ain't big enough to fight me, or whatever the case may be. Right. That's why I think Tank don't really care anything about belts. Plus, he don't have to pay for them. Other than that, okay. With Devin, you heard Bill said they was gonna stick around at 135 the rest of this year, which I think that's a bunch of baloney. I think Bill is playing chess when he say that, and the reason why I say I think he's playing chess because you got Lomo trying to stall him out. So, so if you kind of say something that you know that they're doing, it kind of changed the game. Like he know they're stalling him out. So okay, you can stall me out all you want. We're gonna stay at 135 all year anyway. So the longer you wait, the longer we'll wait because you can't outweight us because we're gonna stay around the 135. But I think once they have that fight, he gonna move up. But I think he just trying to throw that out there so it can kind of put Loma at a different move. I can't pull this stall him out card. So now I got to try something else. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I don't think he can't stay at 35. He too young and growing. Ain't no possible way he can stay at 35. So I mean, that's how I just wanted to tap in and see how y'all felt about that, and then I'm gonna let somebody else talk.
No, man, I think you're onto something there, man. I can definitely see your point and how you see it through that lens. I don't know about Marty and Jason. They may see it different. What are you guys' thoughts on that? That maybe just he doesn't want to be restricted by belts.
I can see that because Florida's already talked to Tank, even though they don't have a good relationship. Florida's talked to Tank before time out, paying sanction fees for sanction fees for each belt and why. when you just go out there, make money, and still be considered one of the best in your division. So he's already said a belt really don't make him. Florida said that, so he's kind of following that route a little bit there.
Jason took the words. Jason took the words right out of my mouth. Took the words right out of my mouth, Jason.
Okay. Gotcha. So I ain't tripping then. So I'm just trying
Randy.
I'm kind of seeing things the same way. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Yes, sir.
But I ain't gonna hold y'all up, man, because I know somebody else want to call. Hey, Greg, tap in with me this week, man, so we could
I was just about to tell you that, man. Did you do what I told you needed to do?
Yeah, I got that. It took me a while to come up with it, but I think it's simple. But I think you might like that. It's simple, but you know what I'm saying? Because I was thinking way out in the stratosphere somewhere, and it was right there up under my nose the whole while. So you might like it when I present it to you. So
just call me Monday.
Huh?
Text me and then call me Monday Monday evening.
Okay, late like the last conversation, kind of late over in the evening.
Call me like around 6.
After you done settled down. About
6:30. Yeah, that'll work.
Okay.
All right, bro.
That'll work then. All right, man. We'll holler at you.
All right, man. Later.
We say, Randy.
All right, later. Yeah.
So I got a question for both of y'all.
Yeah.
So actually, it was something that just came up about So from Michael Benson via Millsport, Tyson Fury and Usyk for the undisputed heavyweight world title is reportedly now being targeted to take place at Wembley Stadium on April 29th. It's claimed that Fury will likely fight April 29th at Wembley, even if Usyk deal can't be done. So Tyson is fighting April 29th no matter what.
I mean,
so
I don't know who he's fighting, but I guess
if he don't fight Usyk, he'll fight Chisora for a 9th time.
Probably. Probably. So Jay, we had 2 hours and 16 minutes, man. I know people are gonna want to get out, man, and check out the Super Bowl. So we got somebody calling in. Let's take a few more calls and then we'll go from there. You are on the Angry Man podcast with Jason and Greg. Who we got on the building? I can hear you. Are you there?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. This tip from North Carolina, man, calling in.
What's going on?
All right.
Yeah, not much, brother, man. Manager Marty, man, I just want to say salute to you, brother. Man, I started watching your content right around when you first started, man, and I'm loving how the channel is growing, and I salute to you, man, and I congratulate you on all your success, man. And you got crazy knowledge on the boxing game, man, and I appreciate you, man. All of you guys on the panel, man, I respect you, and I salute all of you guys.
I appreciate you, my brother. Salute. Thank you for being a one. I call y'all my day oneers. You know what I mean? When I first started the channel, most of you have basically been day one, from the very beginning. And I want to tell you all this because I think this is as equally as important. When I hear people that started with me as far as supporting the channel, it brings joy to my soul, because there's other people who undermine the content by saying that if I would not have mentioned a specific person's name, that my channel wouldn't have grown and I wouldn't have done this and wouldn't have done that. But when I hear things like people saluting me and just supporting the channel and the content, it just does my heart great, because I know that I'm on to something real good, and my whole objective is this: if I could teach the business of boxing all day long, I would do it. But the thing is, if one person, just one, it only takes one, if one person hears something on my content that they've learned that they did not know before they got exposed to my content, that satisfied me. And so I salute to you again, all the way from North Carolina. And I appreciate you for being a day oneer. And I look forward to, seeing more feedback and support from everybody that's watching. I'm just excited about it, because I didn't think that, I would be even a YouTube, YouTuber. You know, I was just doing it just from my heart. But I got to give a shout out to the guy that's watching. You already mentioned his name, so I got to give him a small little plug, and that's YSM Sports Media. He's the one that interviewed me, and the rest was history from there. So salute to you all the way from North Carolina again, my brother. Thank you.
Hey man, I appreciate it, man. I ain't gonna hold y'all long, man. I just wanna chime in on some things I've been hearing, man. And it kind of hurt a little bit, man, because I used to box. I was in amateurs and years ago, over 20 years ago. But I played 4 different sports in high school, man, and every sport, man, you want that. You strive for that championship. Everything else is that the individual accolades is cool, man, but you strive for the championships. And it seems like here lately, man, this new wave, these guys, they chase money, which is cool, but it seemed like in the old era you chase legacy, man. Legacy is so important. I think a lot of things get lost in this new wave, this new culture with everybody, and it's across all sports. You see it in college football with the NIL, and which is fine. Get your money. I'm not saying that you don't get your money. Get your money, but is your social status, social media status more important than your legacy? Because at the end of the day, you want to be the best that you can be in anything you're doing. You know what I'm saying? And me personally, I think I think a lot of stuff get lost so it's a fine line between getting your money or chasing legacy, or do you want to do both? Or I think we worry about all the wrong things because we talk about sanctioning fees and that, which that is the case. Even if you're an interim champion, you still have to pay sanctioning fees, for these. And I think it's too many belts. That is true. It is too many belts, and there's a lot of confusion of who is the champion, who is not the champion. You know what I'm saying? Everybody got a belt now. You know what I'm saying? And I think boxing as a whole has to be cleaned up from that standpoint. We don't know who the champion is in the division because everybody holding the belt. You know what I'm saying? And Manager Marty, if you can, man, just try to break down, do a video breakdown of how they can clean that up as far as the sanctioning body, the different sanctioning bodies, and how they can try to clean that up as far as one division, one champion type deal. How can we move in that direction of where we can clean that up? And that's it, man. That's it for me. And you guys have a blessed rest of your weekend, man, and enjoy your rest of the week.
I appreciate it.
That tip. You too, bro.
Salute. Thank you.
All right,
hey,
Jay.
Greg,
rapid.
One last thing.
Yep.
One last thing I want to get us out here on. So supposedly Jamal Charlo is coming back in June. What's y'all thoughts on that?
Well, I guess I would go ahead, Greg.
No. That was the only thing I was gonna say. Great.
I think that's great. I actually spoke to his trainer on my channel. I did an interview with Breadman, Stephen Edwards, just earlier this week. I just put the small portion of the interview with regards to VADA testing on my channel, but I was just about to release that. But I'll speak on it just a tad because this is a very short video, and he actually told me verbatim that Julian J. Rock Williams is coming back to, his words, not mine, spin the block in June, and I didn't know if I could confirm it with him or not, but I think he was saying that Julian J. Rock Williams is probably going to get another shot at the title with Jamal with regards to coming back in June and spinning that block.
Oh.
I don't know if it's against Jamal. I don't know if it's against Jamel, because he fought Jamal already. So, all he said was J-Rock is spinning the block in June. So I was left to assume that he was talking about Jamal. And I couldn't really pin him down like I like to pin guys down because his phone was dying. And he was trying to get off the so but I will confirm it with him. I make one phone call and confirm it with him. But because you said when you said Jamal Charlo in June, that triggered that J-Rock spinning the block. So that might be something. We might be on to something.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it'll be interesting.
It definitely would be interesting if that fight were to materialize. So
because Jamal Charlo ain't fight for a while. I haven't seen him in a while, right?
Yeah, he ain't fought in like probably almost 2 years from injury. He was scheduled to fight last year, got injured, hurt his back in training, and then they said he's been having a lot of personal stuff. So that's another reason that kind of pushed it back. Then I saw there's like a cryptic tweet like he might just be stepping away from the game, retiring, whatever. And now he just put out there that he'll be back in June. So
yeah, we'll see what happens.
T Word say Jamal should be will be fighting on Selecki. I think they try to make that fight beforehand as well, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll see. Well, anyway, man. Again, it's about that time. I know we've been on here for like almost 2.5 now. I know it's Super Bowl Sunday, and I know people are going to start getting ready for those activities. And I don't want to hold anybody up. As a matter of fact, I got a Super Bowl party to go to myself. So yeah, we're going to go ahead and start making the transition. The phone lines are off at this moment. So if you are trying to call, you're just going to go straight to a voicemail. But Manager Marty, man, I want to say thank you. I really appreciate you for coming on the channel. I appreciate the content that you're putting out. We got the opportunity to get introduced through Mr. Pragmatic. And as far as I'm concerned, man, us smaller YouTube channels need to stick together. We got some larger guys that are out there that are, they're doing their thing, and shout out to them as well. But, I think as a collective, if we stick together, I think that there's an opportunity for us to grow and make our mark in this game as well, because I feel like we are bringing an aspect that some of these other guys simply are not. So I want to give you your flowers while you're on the channel. I appreciate you, and I appreciate everything that you're putting out there for the boxing community.
Definitely.
I
completely agree with him.
I wanted to say thank you guys for having me. There's no secret at this point. I'm subscribed to your channel as well, and I love the content. And I just appreciate the opportunity, man. You guys are doing great things. Your content is awesome. And and I didn't say this in the beginning, but I'll say this now. The first time I actually saw you all is you guys put my face in the thumbnail, and everybody and their mom has been sending me the text messages of the breakdown that you guys did between me and the other content creator. Will not say his name on your channel, but everybody at this point knows who I'm referring to. And you guys did a heck of a job breaking it down. You two actually disagreed about certain points, and I was in there laughing like, oh man, but y'all still cracked the code. Y'all still was able to break it down so eloquently with all the facts without, choosing the side. You guys were very neutral. And that was the first time I saw you guys. I said, man, I got to see who these guys are. And that's why when you guys did a live, I made sure I contributed to the channel and saluted you guys. So I appreciate you guys, man.
Yeah, much respect, Marty.
Appreciate that.
You bring a different perspective, so I definitely appreciate that. The stuff that you've been through and the stuff that you do and your expertise, it just puts things in a different lens. So I appreciate that more than anything else. And you just being really you come with the receipts. So
yes, I got the road.
That's what it's all about. Got to.
Oh, absolutely.
Jason Williams in the comment section, he old as hell because he's referencing Voltron. But
Voltron.
He says Greg's to form Voltron to go at the content creator that we're not going to mention. So we don't have a problem with any content creator. So certainly we're not going to go after anybody. And Marty, I don't think you have a problem with any content creator either, just based off of what I've seen in some of the videos that you've done. So
No problem with anybody.
Exactly. T Ward, appreciate you, man. T Ward is a man. We were talking about your day one, Marty. Our first live, it was me, Jason, and T Ward.
Shout out to T Ward for being a day oneer, man. Salute.
Well, I mean, he is the day one of day ones,
Yeah.
for real. And right now, I just, I want to say this because, we haven't really celebrated any of these milestones or, Jason, but we just passed over 4,000 subscribers. We're almost at 4,200 right now.
Awesome.
And we're trending up, and people are recognizing the content, and we're very thankful for what we've achieved. Marty, you should give yourself a round of applause as well, because research shows that you add 1,000 subscribers every 2 years. So it takes a content creator first starting out 2 years or close to 2 years to get to 1,000 subscribers.
Wow.
So I think you're at what, 3,700, somewhere around there?
Yes, sir. Yep.
Yeah. So we have grown tremendously versus what the YouTube average is. And that's based off of the people who are in the comment section right now, and just being people, the people who we are, and bringing our authentic selves to YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
This is who we are. Yep. It is what we do. And on our channel, you can agree with us or you can disagree with us. You can come in and call us idiots if you feel like what we're saying doesn't make any sense. And everybody has an opportunity to voice their opinion, because at the end of the day, we see this as more of a community and less of people, a divisive area where people can come argue. It's a place to come and debate the topics and be a community.
Absolutely. And you know what? I want to tell you this because this piggyback off of what you were saying. It's all about the fan base. It's all about the viewership. It's all about the subscribers. So salute to them. I mean, when I first started just about 3.5 months ago, man, I just had like no subscribers. And then according to the analytics, I mean, 800 subscribers per month is where I'm trending at. And, I got to salute the subscribers and viewership, man, because, everybody's bringing their own perspective, but you got some bigger YouTubers or content creators. They're pushing a falser narrative. And I think people are so smart and intelligent that they know even us, the smaller content creators or the ones that have the smaller channel, we're being very authentic and honest, and we're maintaining integrity, and we're being our true selves, opposed to embellishing stories, acting like we're in the back rooms when we're really not. We're being who we really are. We're not lying and trying to, portray an image. We are true to our identity, and we stick to our content. And this is what I love about what we do. I mean, I get emails and DMs and all kind of stuff all day where people tell me, come on my channel. Let's do this and let's do that. But if it doesn't fit me educating the public, or entertaining the public, I'm not interested in it, and it's not about people offering me money or offering me things, because at the end of the workday, I'm still a USA boxing judge. You can catch me at an amateur show, and people been walking up on me for the last 3 months. Oh, you the guy on YouTube. I'm like, I'm just here to judge. I'm not even trying to do no content. And it's just amazing, and so, the reception I've been receiving has been equally as authentic. And so, I'm gonna always be who I am and be real, and just keep going, keep putting content out, maintaining integrity and having fun. And I only have two perspectives: entertainment and education. So I'm excited about it, man.
Yeah.
Same here,
dope
man.
stuff.
We're very excited about it as well. All right, man. Well, I think that's going to conclude this show. Again, Marty, thank you, man. Anytime you want Jason and I on your channel, man, we are more than willing and able to join. We always join Chicken Talk's channel. I'm always on the Mic Chat podcast as well.
Mm-hmm.
We've been invited to be on the Boxing Source, and we need to get our act together and get on there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Next time the Boxing Source is dropping something, we're going to be on there as well. I know you connected with YSM. I don't know if they do anything. All I've ever seen from YSM is like the videos. So Marty, are you based in Philly?
Yeah, I'm based in Philly, man.
Okay, so YSM is also in Philly, right?
That is correct.
Okay, so that's why they get all the great Boots in his content. I'm like, man, this cat's a plug to Boots. So yeah, okay. I've seen them do a lot of great interviews, and they don't just do Philly content, because I think they're all over.
No, he's all over. They're all over, man. They go to the fights. They interview the fighters there. He has some great content with Steven Espinosa as well on his channel. So he's all over, man. That YSM is good, man. Good guys.
Yeah. They're doing their thing for sure. Yeah, man. So yeah, maybe we'll get plugged in with them one day, get opportunity to connect with them as well, and just again, we can all help each other get to the next level, man, in terms of just opportunities and coming together and just like Jason said, forming Voltron, if you will.
Absolutely. Hey man, listen, I'm not going to put you guys on the spot, but I will email you all and reach out and correspond with you on coming onto the channel anytime you want. Floor is always going to be you guys, man. Anything you want from me, if you want me to ever come back, whatever I can do for you guys, you let me know and it's done.
Man, I appreciate that, man. And coming from you, I know it's real because we've talked to that are content creators that I can't. They've said things that they didn't hold true to. Now maybe they've been busy, maybe life gets in the way. I totally understand that, but I'm the type of person that my word is my bond, and when I tell you something, you better believe it's going to happen. And if it doesn't happen, something really bad must have happened to me because I try damn hard to make sure it gets done.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, and I'll do this live right now and give my word as a man to start it off. I'll make a phone call for you. I'll make a phone call to YSM for you on my behalf. I'll make a phone call for you guys.
I appreciate that, man. And live we will be on your channel. I'm available whenever. So it's just a matter of how do I fit into whatever it is that you're doing that day, Marty. But I'm available. Any Friday you go live, I will make myself available.
All right, say no more. You got it.
All right, man. All right, guys, that concludes the show. 2.5 hours, man. You guys know what it is. We're here every Sunday at 4 p.m. Today was a special day with the Super Bowl, but we're here every Sunday at 4 p.m. Manager Marty, I think you're live every Friday at 6:30, correct?
I think we just lost him.
Oh, we just lost him? Well, I think Manager Marty's show is every Sunday at 6:30. Jay, I'm correct in that, right?
Yeah, 6:30. I'm almost positive 6:30 on Fridays for Manager Marty.
Yep, 6:30.
Yeah.
And the Mic Check podcast, I don't know exactly when because the Mic Check podcast, they're always live. They go live. I don't think they have a set schedule, but they go live, and you can always go check out their channel. T-Word, make sure you drop your link in the comment section. Chicken Talk, make sure you guys go subscribe to him. If you haven't had the opportunity yet, please hit the like button so that everybody else can find this live stream. And also go ahead and hit that subscribe button, man. We're always dropping content. We'll have some fresh new content dropping tomorrow. And we're always looking to improve over here. So we got some new technical stuff that some better computer stuff so you guys can get off of us in terms of sound and
Jason Williams.
Making sure stuff don't drop. Jason Williams specifically. But yeah, guys, until next time, man, next week. Peace.